Hey all, thanks for being here if you're here. We are going to do the Reverie Roundtable in just a moment. Um, hey, we got people here. They're white people. So, oh, one of them's not white, well, they're not black, so that, it's still tracks. Still tracks. So anyway, we'll be started. Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
Mildly, as usual, I'm a centrist.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 viewers. Hell yeah.
So I'm the only person who's like just 100. I'm like just opposed to this. I think it's 100% a feminine thing that should
Yeah,
stay in that lane. Leave it to the girls and the gays. No, okay.
Let's hold off on that.
Yeah.
Let's get started.
We can talk drama or something first.
Hold off on the makeup.
I know how you boys, right, get when we talk about makeup.
Get us in a room together and yeah.
Hey,
You
listen,
can't stop.
Beauty chips fly.
Hey, I'm just saying, there's a reason Green Day is popular.
It's the makeup. You think?
It's the makeup.
You don't think it's the music?
I'm gonna go with the makeup. Where's my glasses?
Well,
Listen, if this is not a man who supports makeup that wears these kind of glasses, then I don't know what is.
I think the battle lines are going to be interesting now, more interesting than I thought on this one.
I don't know.
But okay. So
I'm gonna laugh if all the conservatives and the lefties switch for this role. This one.
We will figure it out. But anyway, hi
Where's my
guys.
brush?
How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Living the dream. Destiny, you want to say hi? We got people in here yelling. She's gonna assist me with my makeup here a little bit.
Okay.
You think I'm joking, but
So there's a sway to your bias there.
oh, you'll see my sway to my bias. Let me tell you,
Is
that's also the name of my porn.
is her name Destiny?
Yeah, because she's your destiny. Ha ha! That's a good one. Count it. That was a good one, right? Yeah, she high five. That's what I'm talking about.
It's a girl's name. It makes sense.
Honestly, Prime, you're too tall for her. I already know.
I'm too tall for her.
Yeah, if you're like over 5'6", it's too tall. She's like short kings only.
Lactoid to the rescue.
Lactoid!
Just lie about it.
I posted a graph in our shared chat. This is going to be important for the makeup debate.
Okay.
So
What the fuck?
you've been just strolling through Ayla's Twitter feed.
I'm pretty excited for the makeup debate.
Oh man. You guys have gotten me.
I take issue with a few of these ratings. They some of them need to be switched.
Mm-hmm.
Lactoid, what are you
Are
doing?
you going to use this document in court? This graphic?
Brother, save your mental state. Unfollow Ayla.
No, I don't follow Ayla. I just saw people shared this with me because I've been making a similar argument that Prime knows about for a while now, and I think this is going to come in handy to kind of explain my point.
Oh.
You should share it in chat then, so everybody knows.
You'll hear it. I already shared my reference materials. Okay.
You're going to go point by point, cover the entire spectrum.
No. I'm not going to go point.
48 points. What was there? 48 points.
Gotta prep for my routine here. Let me just.
You actually putting on makeup, Gibbs?
I guess you'll see, won't I?
Gibbs. I actually remember that cigar that you recommended to me all that time ago. The champagne 90th edition.
The Perdomo 10-year age one.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
You're
left
a
it
Perdomo guy
in my. I left it in my humidor, and I had it this last weekend.
It's great for like a social event.
Good cigar.
It was the smoothest there was no bite at all. It was the smoothest cigar I've ever had. Incredibly good recommendation. I'm gonna get it again.
Disgusting.
Yeah, I didn't know
disgusting.
how big into cigars you were. So like my that's a good one for like I use those. I personally like a really heavy cigar. But those I really enjoy for like if I'm like in social settings because it's hard to smoke.
So smooth.
Yeah, it's hard to smoke like a real heavy cigar like without like a glass of whiskey and like be like chilling. But if I'm smoking like that, I could be like out at the club or I could be like at somebody's house and we could be talking about like whatever, and then I can give them to people if I have extra ones and they can smoke them and it's like a good.
Honestly, for socials and stuff like that, I like the little the Davidoff pack. always go
I
for the
remember
quick the Davidoff cigars.
I don't like those little cigars, so it defeats the point at that.
They're not
my-
like
Yeah.
little. It's in between. It's like medium.
Plus,
it's
it's a
like something
flex,
you can
bro.
kill
The
within like
Churchill-
30
the Chur-
minutes.
The Churchill size is a flex. You know what I'm saying?
It is,
Like,
it is a flex, yeah. You look
You know,
like a
you're like-
mob boss. Yeah.
Yeah, and like people like girls like him because they like a lot of girls I know like don't like cigarette smoke, but they like cigar smoke, and then they think that it's kind of like this guy's kind of like a little bit like edgy or rich
Disgusting.
because he's got
Classier,
money.
no.
If he's
Yeah.
if he's got a big cigar, he's probably expensive. And they're like,
18
oh yeah, these
bucks,
are 20 a
18,
pop,
20 bucks
15
for the
bucks a
night.
pop. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, this guy's got 20 bucks to waste. Oh, this is the second one of the night. Okay, and then it's all these good things. You can't go wrong. You look like Elon Musk if Elon Musk had testicles, like Papa Gibbs.
Gross.
Cigar smoke is.
It also increases
absolutely
testosterone, by the way.
vile. I
Nicotine in general is supposed to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you
Well,
need
they
it,
ban-
probably.
That's why they ban it in these countries. They're afraid of nicotined up men.
That's my favorite conspiracy theory. That like
I
the
think so.
anti-smoking campaign is actually like part of the movement to feminize men.
Comment.
But the
Yeah.
problem is like you're putting on makeup right now, Gibbs. So you're also
Yeah,
contributing to
that's
the movement to
okay. Cool
feminize
saying.
men.
Lactoids.
Oh, don't worry. I got a whole thing for this. Don't worry. What is your ethnic background? Are you a Norwegian, Canadian?
Canadian.
Maybe.
I'm not Canadian. Jeez.
French.
background.
I
Canadian.
get so many
He's
people that
Northern
like
American.
genuinely don't understand.
You look like you're like of a Netherlands stock. Like of the Dutch.
This is
Yeah.
this is a hint right here. This
Yeah,
is a
no
hint.
Scandinavia, the Norway. Yeah. So I don't know how anybody with a proud
Not
heritage
Norway.
of
Sweden.
Sweden. Oh well, that makes more sense.
Gibbs.
I was gonna
about to
say, anybody
he's
with-
from superior genetic stock. He's just about
Well, I was gonna
to
say
that.
anybody with that genetic stock should be embracing makeup, considering what the Vikings were putting on their face.
They were doing that to scare people to like
Are you
take
likening-
and steal
are
their
you
shit.
likening-
It's still makeup, isn't it not?
Are you likening Navy SEAL like war paint to makeup?
Absolutely.
Okay. I feel you. You like stretching things.
Not only that, I'm also related to sex. We can talk about it later. We'll wait. I got.
If
all
you
sorts
need
of good
makeup
points.
to get laid, I'm so sorry, brother. Come on, like
I
it's
don't,
over
I don't need
for
makeup.
you.
I don't need anything.
No, I'm not talking to you. The ethereal you that needs this makeup.
Listen, I need to get these eye rollers. bro.
He's
I'm
an
telling
eye
you, this is
roller. He needs
sneaker.
to get the creases out of his eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
bro.
all cool with like facial wash, Weishi stones or whatever the fuck that thing, the gua sha stone, whatever the thing is called. But like, if you need
Oh.
concealer, brother, it's game over. Game over. Sisters.
I got a new power crystal. Corey. I don't know if you want to say.
Like a Power Ranger crystal?
I have my selenite
Quartz?
sphere right here.
Like Kyber crystal?
I'm gonna have a witch come
I
on
have
later this
my
week.
I have my amethyst.
So
Something.
so crystals.
Bro,
yes,
Macklin, you should come interview this witch I have
Or
on
just,
later this week. What do you think
See,
about that?
I heard. I'd be down. Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah, I
little
think they're
boys
gonna
collect
take-
rocks. I don't know when it switches over from little boys collecting rocks to like the girls are the ones collecting the rocks. But
Wait,
I think
rocks and crystals are different. Not to get you know.
I think they're the same thing. I think men should
Wait,
evolve
that's,
from.
that's not. That can't be true.
That's how I feel about archaeology in general.
Wait, no, aren't crystals part of the rock?
Archaeology
rock-
is
the
geology.
rock
I
sphere?
think you mean. I think archaeology is something different.
Yeah, they're over here finding like all these
Like
fucking
gems and
arrowheads
stones,
pots and
right?
shit.
The Google AI is saying that rocks are not crystals.
But they're part of the family. They're gems
Google,
and
it must
stones.
be a
You know.
conspiracy. Well, that is too left leaning.
Rocks are not crystals. But all right, I don't even know where it was.
But there is crystallized rock.
They're crystallized. Yeah, but like, yeah, rock. I think rock is a superset, right? And the crystals are the subset. I would think, but I'm actually not sure.
My geology is pretty rusty. But
Yeah, I actually don't know. I don't know if that would be fair. I don't know if it was like a geology major would laugh at me right now. So I'll just leave it alone. But it's definitely not the other way around. So all right. Any which way. Hey y'all. Thanks for being here. This is a round table which we have Mondays 8 p.m. Eastern. We've got a great group of guests here. Really excited. I think it's gonna be interesting. We have more people on the way, hopefully, at some point in time. But we'll see if they manage to make it. But for now, we'll introduce the people we have here. Starting with our friend Lactoid. But how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me on. I know that we are in direct competition with something happening right now. So, you know, is what it is. But I think that we'll do a good job at keeping things spicy, keeping things entertaining, and I have some pretty hot takes actually as to this first topic. No, I don't intentionally make my takes hot. They just happen to be that way. But when they happen to be that way, it's always fun to share them. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oakley dokily. Actually, I don't know what we're in competition towards. But
Elon Musk is interviewing Donald Trump.
oh,
You mean
okay.
circle jerking?
Yeah,
No,
once again,
I'm biased interviewing.
once
I'm biased.
again, my rival and I, Elon Musk, have come in a conflict. But okay, thank you so much for that. Admiral Gibbs, nice to have you, friend.
I'm excited to be here. This is going to be a good one. I think it's going to be interesting, at least for this first topic, because I also have some hot takes. And I don't think that it's going to be the same teams as usual for once here on Reverie Roundtable. So I think there's going to be some whoopings handed out all around. And also, Aiko, you look fantastic with the haircut and beard trim. I want to say that first, by the way. Fuck all you bitches. Yeah, anyway, that's the big parts there. I think, what else? Oh, listen, let me tell you something. When a Texan says y'all need to listen, you need shit's about to get real.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, next we have our friend Corey Campbell. How are you, friend?
I'm doing well, thank you so much. Always grateful to be here. I got all dolled up in my own makeup to be here because I always want to look pretty to be here. And yeah, looking forward to the topics as always. Great. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. It's Corey Campbell. Twitch, it's Corey Campbell 84, and all other platforms is Corey Campbell. Yeah, that's about it.
So much. Next, we have our friend Aiko, who we haven't had back here in a while, and because to mark the occasion, he spruced himself up for us, right?
Yeah, just for you guys.
But you are looking handsome, friend. And we're always very happy to have you. How are you, friend?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, it's first week of school for us, so that's one of the reasons for my annual haircut. But yeah, it's good. Yeah, things are good.
Okay, thank you so much, friend. Next, let's go to Ali. Ali, nice to see you once again. I mean, your hair and beard seem to be the same. So, all right.
I didn't switch it up today. I thought
who loves the channel
we-
more.
we gotta leave it up to Icon. Listen. Icon's proof, if anything, that all you need as a male is a nice trim, a good cut. Done. 1 and 2. Game over. Right? Maybe wash your face every now and then. But outside of that, it's a pleasure to be here. Can't wait to get into the topics tonight.
Gotcha. All right. Thanks so much. Now let us get started. With the first topic, I thought this would be a fun topic. I wish we had a few more. There were some individuals I invited want to be on here who unfortunately couldn't make it. But I think we're gonna have a good time with the ones who did show up. So topic 1. In our world of rapidly changing gender norms, the trend of male makeup is on the rise, generating big business. Male cosmetics are a $17.5 billion industry. Men who use it say it helps boost their confidence. Much of the industry is dedicated to minimalist makeup that is meant to go unnoticed. But some men use more bold makeup as a form of self-expression. What do you think of this trend? Is this a gender norm that you are happy to see change? How would you feel if by the time your son became a man, that makeup was normalized or even expected of men? So yeah, this is a thing. I asked a similar question about on this years ago, and I thought it'd be a good topic to revisit. I think the thought of a male cosmetic industry is really interesting. How I feel about it, that's a different thing. But I think just the idea that this is actually that there's big business behind this is fascinating, and I'm curious where are we in history here? Let's place a marker. How do men feel about this right now? And let's compare in 10 years. So lactoid.
Okay, so my opinion on this is somewhat complicated. I'll try to summarize it as fast as possible. The first problem, specifically with men wearing makeup, I think that hot take. I think gender roles exist for a reason. My libertarian side would indicate that I do think that we shouldn't ban makeup. People should be allowed. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
Sorry, I'm
Yep.
having some weird network stuff happening right now. Sorry. I don't think we should ban makeup. I think that obviously it should be it should be allowed, but I think that there's issues that come with when we start removing the, I guess, delineations that we have in gender roles, because I think gender roles do provide some level of utility. I personally wouldn't be super excited or enthusiastic if I had a son who then went on to wear makeup. Now, would I stop him? No. But would I be enthusiastic about it? No. My real problem with makeup actually has to do with just the concept of makeup at all, right? I shared a picture on our group chat, and some of you in the audience might know I don't know who this person is. Apparently, it's a Twitter user named Ayla, Aella.
Yep.
And she has a lot of hot takes, and she posted something that actually was what I've been thinking about for a long time, which is the rape spectrum, right? Where we like to think about rape just in terms of is it or is it not, but I think that it actually is more of a spectrum than it is necessarily a binary, where there are things that, while maybe they don't rise to the degree of necessarily being enforceable by law, they are less consensual than alternative options and thus are somewhat problematic, right? One of the things that Ayla describes as on the rape spectrum, even though it's not, it's in the green area, it's not down in the red area, but it's in the green area, is lying about your wealth and status in order to get a woman to sleep with you. And I've thought this for a long time too, right? I've thought this for a long time that I've never done this because it feels scummy, but I think it goes beyond just being scummy. I think it's actually deceptive, right? In the same way that you have a lot of countries right now criminalizing stealthing, right? When you pretend to wear a condom, but you don't. They're criminalizing this because they're considering it to be rape. But is it really like on the same level as a violent rape? Not necessarily, but it is on the spectrum, right? It is a non-consensual action that it would be preferable if it didn't happen. And so, below that on the spectrum, this Ayla person puts, lying about your wealth or your status. But makeup, I think, is also somewhat deceptive, right? Makeup is deceptive on how you look. We've all seen those Twitter videos of people using makeup and dramatically transforming their image to the point where they don't look like they're wearing makeup, but they look like a completely different person. And you hear a lot of people who are into makeup say things like, the trick is to make it look like you're not wearing that much. Why? Why is the trick? Why is the trick, which is an interesting word, by the way, to use, but why is the trick here to try to make it look like you're not doing it? Well, the reason is because you want other people to see you as though this is as you are. Back during, this is like when the red pill was a little bit more common, people were saying, yeah, take a girl to the pool on your first date because then, it'll wash off and you'll see what she actually looks like. A lot of women took issue with that and they were saying that was sexist. But in reality, why is that wrong? Why is that problematic? And it's more honest than it is anything else, right? Because the reason why somebody might want to do this is because they want to see what they're getting themselves into, sometimes literally what they're getting themselves into, right? And I think that's an important calculation that somebody has to make when it comes to deciding, relationship decisions or sexual decisions. So I don't like makeup for that reason. I think makeup is deceptive. And I also think that another issue with makeup is the same issue with plastic surgery, which is where once everybody starts getting it, it begins becoming normalized to the point where people who don't want to wear makeup or people who don't want to get plastic surgery feel as though they have to in order to fit into society. And so it's sort of it creates this industry that sort of thrives off of insecurity and thrives off of itself, and really sucks up a lot of resources that could be used for more productive uses. So generally speaking, I think makeup is a problem, whether it be on men or women. Probably a little bit more of a problem on men, but generally speaking, it's a problem for both.
Admiral Gibbs.
Yeah, so I actually disagree vehemently with Socialist Lactoid here today. It's really interesting to me. First off, let's just talk from a conservative standpoint. I am pro-business. Anything that's more business is good business. I personally have clients that sell makeup. The more people sell makeup, the better. Like, I don't understand why this is a big issue. You would think that, someone that's supposedly an avid libertarian and conservative would want more business in whatever form it takes to help the American economy, flow and grow and all that good jazz. But Lactoid here sort of coming around hard. Secondly, he talks about gender norms, and I'm glad that he brought this up before I did. But it's actually really important if we look back over the time of the thousands and thousands of years. Makeup has been a major part of society for men for thousands of years. First, we have like ancient Egyptians and ancient Greeks with religious ceremonies. They had priests using this. We have actors in the Greek plays. We have actors in the medieval era. All these people using makeup regularly. Even today, we have men like, that are, alpha male type, red pill type, and before they go on a television show, guess what they do? Makeup. All these things. And regular makeup's fine. It's as good as it's growing. I mean, we can just look at numerous examples of men's fashion throughout history. The British, they used to like the powdered makeup on their face. We got, during the Romans, they wanted to have their own makeup with all the painted face. And the Greeks, and just for thousands of years, makeup's been a fine thing, even to the point that the military uses it. We use the blackout paint to hide. The Vikings used it to defend themselves and scare enemy villagers. This is just a weak, limp dick take by anybody that's anti-makeup. It actually is less of a man. The fact that these low-T men are concerned about men using makeup, is wild. Okay, why do women want to make it where it's easily concealed so they look better? Cool. Don't we all want to maybe put our best foot forward? It's not deceptive. And if it is deceptive and men and women can do it, then it's an equal playing field. Another thing he brought up, it's kind of scummy to lie about these things. Sure. It's also if that's why they don't like the date where they go to the pool. That's why they don't like it. When men lie about their wealth and whatever. It's the same thing for men. If they're bamboozling women with makeup, then guess what? It's buyer beware. If you're not smart enough to know that this person's wearing makeup or can't tell or not deductive, that's on you. And it should be on you. Take accountability for your lack of awareness. That's the big issue here. Lack of accountability, low-T men crying about makeup, and people that hate capitalism.
As always, the Admiral Gibbs is a wallflower, and we can barely get his opinion out of him.
I got your back.
Thanks so much, buddy. Corey.
All right. I'll try to keep it brief. So even though I let's say largely disagree with 80% of what Lactoid said, but there's a small sliver in there that I do agree with in terms of reasons matter. Okay, where I share some of the concerns that Lactoid outlined in terms of cosmetic surgery or plastic surgery of increasing rates, and I don't necessarily want to see that normalized, and that being the road that we go down on. And so I think there's a balance to be struck there, where the best example that I can come up with on the fly is, and when it comes to reasons matter, where, let's say, for example, going to the gym. So I'm an avid gym goer. The motivations for people to go to the gym range from pure vanity of whatever, male bodybuilders, okay, they just want to look a certain way, largely for social validation, and largely driven by probably insecurity. And there are ones that, for health and somewhere in between, etc., and the combination thereof. I think there are bad reasons to go to the gym, and there are good reasons to go to the gym. I think there are good reasons to wear some makeup, okay, and there are bad reasons to wear makeup. If you're wearing makeup purely for social validation, okay, and the approval of others, okay, the research is pretty clear that that's not the best overall long-term for your self-esteem. If you're doing it actually as a form of self-expression, okay, which totally some people do, then there's something in between there that's probably has some value and social utility. And so all that to say, it's I think there's a balance to be struck where I think, men could probably take a cue from women, and many have, in terms of probably having a good skincare routine is probably good, okay, in terms of moisturizing and sunscreen and all that stuff for your overall health, and just some appearance concerns. And there's probably a cue that women could take from men of just maybe not having wearing makeup purely for social validation or to fit in, where that's not the only reason why women wear makeup, but that is one of the reasons for some women. And I'll leave it there for now.
So much, Corey. Let's go, Aiko.
I think there's been a lot of conversation so far in these openings about, I guess, the demand side of these things, right? But I'd like to talk a little about the supply side of these things. There was a really great book that was written back in the 90s, I think, called The Beauty Myth by, I can't remember her name right now. But it was all about the makeup industry and what it does. And if you, so I take Gibbs's point about capitalism. This is definitely about capitalism to a degree. But the capitalism at its finest finds problems that need to get solved, provides the solution, and that's how people make money. But after a while, you get to the point where you run out of problems to capitalize and you have to start inventing them. And this is what the makeup industry did in the 20th century, is it started convincing women more and more and more that that there were problems with the way that they looked, and there was problems with the way that their skin looked, and the way that the tone was, and the way that it matched other parts of their faces or their bodies, and it tried to convince them that that it's a problem. And once they convinced them that it was a problem, they were able to sell them the solution. And so, to the degree that this is happening with men as well, I would argue that if it's demand driven, then it's fine. I don't have a problem with like people looking the way that they want to look. Like, you know, Jacob Chansley wore a lot of makeup, and it worked for him for a while. One might argue that it's working for him again now that he's out of prison. But but if there's an entire industry dedicated to making people feel insecure about the way that they look, and then sell them things based on the back of that insecurity, I don't see the advantage of making men go through that just because women have been going through that for like close to a century.
How much? Ali.
Yeah, I hate the whole thing. I think the makeup needs to be left to the ladies, and I resent the notion that you get to throw capitalism in front of anything, and all of a sudden you're just like an alpha man. Look, because other people can get rich and other companies can get rich, I am now. No, you're not gonna get rich. It doesn't matter. Listen, we're taking away power from the ladies day by day, and we're doing that by somehow giving the power to the men to be ladies. It's I have no problem with makeup. I don't think it's deceptive. I think it's an enhancement of beauty. But I do have a problem with plastic surgery. I think plastic surgery, and it's a little bit of a eugenicist issue. I select people, like I'm selecting a mate because of the kids I want to have. And if you lie to me about the features that you have through literally like changing them, right? My kids will, there's an issue there. But mainly, I think like gender norms are like they're a thing. They serve a purpose. They serve a utility. And I think that we're taking away the norms that are like the powers for the girls and giving them to the guys. I think women, it's been known, women lie with what is it? Women lie with how they look, and men lie with what they say. I don't know what the power play is by giving guys, and I honestly don't know of a single straight cisgendered male who wants to wear makeup and doesn't feel more feminine, because I don't think any of you look at Jeffree Star or what's the other guy, James Charles, and go, that's a man right there. That's a manly dude. I think you look at him and you go, that's a effeminate guy. And I think that's the judgment that comes with the wearing of
Or are
makeup.
they?
And,
What I ask.
well, they're both makeup influencers. They make makeup and have, so on and so forth. So I think that I don't see it necessary. I don't think that many men outside of gay men are going to buy makeup for themselves. And yeah, that's for the capitalist.
One, I forget which, not Jeffree Star, the other one that you named.
James Charles.
James Charles, yeah, he had a contract with like Revlon or one of them. Maybe it was Maybelline.
He does great makeup.
He does great makeup.
But like, fucking phenomenal, man. Like, is it manly? No.
Let's go to our friend Ghosty. I'm glad you were able to make it here, Ghosty.
Yeah.
Love to hear what you have to
Thank
say.
you. Sorry for being a little late. So I think right now, as it stands, men wearing makeup is a little odd. I think I've seen straight guys wear like expressive makeup in a way that, they do it right. It's typically at like an event, like a rock show or something, like they're kind of looking up to like Kiss and David Bowie, like that kind of like rock scene. And I've seen straight guys do it and like they can rock it. It looks fine. There are plenty of guys who do it and it looks very cringy though at the same time. But that's not like an everyday thing. And there's some people it's just like it fits their personality, and I think that's fine. I don't think like all guys wearing makeup has to necessarily be like associated with like gayness or whatever like that. But right now it's definitely not the norm. Down the line though, when I think about like everyday makeup application, I think of just like covering blemishes and, maybe making your skin even. And I think it could be helpful if we were accepting to this as a society, and maybe not like for men, maybe not like a full face of makeup, but learning how to just cover like little blemishes and stuff, especially if you're going through puberty and you're going to school and you're very insecure about it, just learning how to like tone down like the redness in some areas and it's like not noticeable at all. I think that could be beneficial if we are open to this as a society down the line. But yeah, as for women, I don't think makeup is deceptive. I think it can be deceptive, but I think everyday women aren't wearing. You can usually tell when a woman's wearing makeup. It is the norm, and there are disadvantages to not wearing makeup, specifically in like professional settings. Um, and yeah, I think if a woman has a problem not wearing makeup, specifically in a relationship, then that would be a problem. But most women are fine being natural around their boyfriends, when they're in a relationship and stuff. So I don't think it's really that big of a problem of deception. Plastic surgery can be a little different. I associate plastic surgery with like toxic femininity mostly. There are exceptions for it where it can be beneficial, but I think the excessive plastic surgery is like the lip fillers and cheek fillers and all that. I think that's toxic.
Okay, I'll open to the
All right,
Just wanna-
two things. One, we need to make a distinction between wearing costume makeup, like dressing like Kiss or David Bowie, and war paint and football paint and blah 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 blah. And
No, we don't.
make
No, we don't.
Yes, we do, because those are
Absolutely
two different. Those
No,
are
we
two
do.
completely
We do.
different things. We're talking about lashes and
Do they both contribute to the makeup
beautification.
industry?
We're talking about No, they're not. We're talking about beautification makeup. So those are two.
So
they
that
are
doesn't
two different
beautify you as
industries.
well as make you more alpha male?
They
like
don't.
put this
They're
on
two
there?
different industries. You
Hold
buy
on,
one.
are
You buy
saying
one
that
at
I
a
can't
party
put
store,
war paint
and you
on
buy
your
one
Instagram
at
photo?
Macy's. You can't buy war paint at Macy's. You can't buy
Absolutely,
face
you
paint
can.
at
You
Macy's.
can buy
No,
it
you
at
can't.
Academy. I can buy it at Academy.
You can't
and I
buy
go
it
out
at Macy's.
and
You can't buy it
Are
at
you telling me
Saks.
after
You
I
can't buy
kill
it
a
at a
deer, I
makeup
can't have
counter.
camo paint on
So,
my face?
anyways, so the
For my
second
Instagram
point.
photo.
So that's to give you to the second point would be to Ghosty. I don't want to encourage anyone when they're having breakouts and acne to put on makeup to cover it up, because that's just going to make it worse. So if you're insecure about your makeup, or if you're insecure about your acne, there are cleansing treatments that are used. There are certain creams to use. I had horrible acne.
The sun.
Nobody wants to see that
the
shit.
solution-
Fucking cover
yeah,
that shit up.
the
I don't want to see your
solu-
gross
yeah.
ass pimples.
Yeah, but that's just going to make
Well,
it
the
worse.
sun,
For the
gross,
person
it
who
makes you
has it,
gag.
which is who the person we're talking about is the emotional state of the
Vitamin D.
person who is affected by the pimples and their like embarrassment. So like, no, I don't want to encourage anyone to be wearing. No one should cover up their pimples with makeup. Go on, Corey. Sorry.
I just want to also piggyback off what iCal said in his opening. Like, I pretty much agree with that assessment. And the fitness industry obviously I think operates pretty much. The fitness supplement industry also operates of just like preying on the insecurities of people. Of just, if you don't look a certain way physically, well, then you need this supplement to solve that problem. That induced problem. And also, I want to pose the question to Ali, where I think you mentioned in your opening statement of like this deception aspect, especially when picking a mate. You don't want to be deceived because your children and offspring, et cetera, and you're selecting for that. So then I'm curious, is it obligatory for you if when choosing a partner that your partner, if they had braces when they're a teenager, they have to divulge that?
I mean, not necessarily obligatory, but if you're like hiding, or if you had severely jacked up teeth, yeah, that's something that like you want to know. So down the line, it's not like something you're surprised by. I think I've always had that. I thought that was a completely I've always thought it was completely normal to have these conversations with the people that you want to have kids with about your medical issues and your medical history, like, because I think it matters.
I don't think, okay, so I don't know how you have these conversations. I agree, it might be good to have some form of that conversation, but I don't know if for most people that when you bring up medical history, they go to like how your teeth were per se. I don't know that I don't know what the split would be.
Teeth,
like,
I kind of like care
if
less
I say
about. But if someone had like a nose job,
what's your medical history? I don't think they're gonna bring out their dental records.
Yeah. So like when I think cosmetic surgery, I'm not thinking braces. I'm thinking like a nose job, a boob job, something that like they literally had to sculpt something into your face or add something to your teeth. You can align them yourself. They're still your teeth. But if she's like walking around with veneers and she doesn't have, and she's like, well, I was born with no teeth, and people in my family are born with no teeth, but she just has veneers. I want to know the dental.
This is a good consistency check. I think braces are interesting. I haven't thought about that before. I think that there can be medical reasons.
I think
like,
it's
for example, I had braces for medical reasons specifically. But I think that there is a distinction between something that has like medical uses and something like makeup, where there's really no medical use that I can think of, right?
Social benefits.
It's entirely based on like some kind of like social representation. And I don't know where we want to take this, because I know me and you actually disagree. Like, there's three positions being put forward. I have the strongest position, I think, which is that makeup is bad, right?
The weakest
Aiko,
position.
Aiko, I think actually made really good points as to kind of the supply side of why makeup is bad. I seriously, like, I don't agree with this concept of just like it's capitalism, therefore it's good. And I actually wanted to ask Gibbs a question specifically. Like, do you think we should abolish laws against fraud? Do you think that we should just end? If you have a mechanic who puts sawdust in your transmission, and then you find out about it later, should you be able to sue that mechanic?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's bad business. I mean, there's good business and bad business. How is like, listen, obviously I think
Should
that
you be able
like,
to sue him specifically in a court of law and have the cops
I
there
think
maybe
that
give
you
you
should
money?
be able to take physical action against them personally. Like, I should be able to take them out back and do
You
the
should- you should
Biden,
try
what
to
Biden
sue
wants to
them.
Trump. That's so.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, sue is a little bit light on what. I think
Okay,
we should be able
okay,
to
but
do.
hold on. So, but isn't he just engaged in capitalism, right? He's just making money.
Nah, that's bad capitalism.
Oh, so
Therefore,
there's such thing as
capitalism.
bad capitalism. So there's a distinction between good capitalism and bad capitalism,
Yeah,
kind of
because
like
it's
what
bad
Aiko was
business.
saying.
But hold on, if he does this often, it's going to take care of itself. Someone's just going to take him out back. Like I said, eventually the market will take care of it. So, like, yeah, absolutely. But good try
Not
there.
really.
Like,
Bad
I know you're
mechanics.
trying
Bad
to turn it into a
mechanics exist
socialist,
forever,
but,
brother.
No, this is not so. No, this is me saying that like
how does it feel
like
to be
makeup
turned into a beta as I get like
no.
wallpaper
Makeup.
on?
I see makeup as actually very comparable to putting sawdust in the transmission of a car.
How?
You are misrepresenting the quality of the car in order to sell it. You want to
do you,
sell
like,
a
do you go
car
get
to
your
somebody
car
who otherwise
cleaned?
wouldn't.
Do
You
you
were
get
trying
your
to
car
sell a
cleaned
car.
before you sell it? You go take it to the detail shop.
So I don't think that cleaning a car is misrepresenting the
Do you
car.
take a bath before you go out on the date?
I don't think bathing is misrepresenting
It is,
your
bro.
body.
You're showing
No,
off. You use
it's
body
not.
wash, right? It's got
No,
perfume.
it's not.
You're
I'll
smelling
explain.
Armstrong
I'll
today.
explain.
Ass,
go ahead.
right?
I'll explain. Right, when you look at a car that's clean, and this is actually the critical thing that I think Ali was trying to get to when it comes to the difference between war paint and like regular makeup, is when fraud requires an element of a desire to deceive, right? And when you're putting on war paint, you're not trying to deceive people into thinking that your face actually looks this way. When you do regular makeup,
Well, originally,
you
you're
are
trying to scare your enemies.
you're trying to scare You're trying to scare your enemies. Right? You look at someone with war paint. It's obvious that they're wearing war paint. Just like when you look at a clean car, it's obvious that the car was clean or is clean, as opposed to if there's sawdust in the transmission, which I think is much more comparable. I think where you're inconsistent is you're drawing this weird line between cosmetic surgery and other forms of cosmetic products. I don't see the line there, right? I think that line is actually much more blurry than you're perhaps giving credit for, right? If you give, like we're talking about braces or like a boob job or something else, to me, that's really not all that different. Maybe it's different in scale, but it's not all that different in principle to makeup or cologne or like some other things that are present, right? It's like, what's the purpose? What are you trying to do with this? You're trying to get somebody to believe that this is an element of who you are artificially, which is normally deception.
So
Everybody can tell when you're wearing makeup, though. Like,
that is
yeah,
not true.
That's not true. That's not true. There's a lot of girls who are phenomenal at doing makeup, and you couldn't even tell. I think the idea for me is because the gender norms, right? And as a male, I have the expectation that girls are going to be wearing makeup, and so I don't see it as a deception. I think it's like a tool in the armor, right? And I think for the majority of girls, they don't necessarily know how to do their makeup that's so good that it's like deceptive and it's like literally changing their like what they look like. I think on average it's just an enhancement of what they already have, or it's just like day-to-day makeup where they are just wearing like concealer, maybe eyeliner, and then they're like going on with their day just to kind of like just be passing so they don't look dull or whatever it may be. So that's why for me, like I expect it out of them, and I know it's like it's a tool they've used forever, and so like that's why I don't see it as deception. It's like in the same way that guys have beards or like guys kind of stand in a certain way, try to make themselves look taller or whatever it may be. Like we all have our little tools.
No, hold on. So like nobody answered this question. Are y'all like against bathing?
No.
Yes.
Do you like yeah? So because it sounds like you're against bathing.
I mean, personally, no. Look, I'm not against bathing. There's different. There's health.
No, because you're hiding your natural months, bro. You're hiding. You're not hiding. You're gonna smell that eventually.
You're not hiding shit. You're not hiding shit. Like you're removing.
how are they gonna know?
I think cologne is a better analog.
Hold on. No, body wash is perfect. Even unscented, I'll tell you why. Part of the way, like, people in the old ancient thousands of years, they would smell people, right? They would smell the pheromones. They would know, and their pheromones would give off. Oh, this guy eats too many onions. He's gonna die, or maybe he's got like kidney problems.
Too many
He's got
onions?
some Listen, don't worry about it. They got too much pheromones like that are bad. Like, people would select off this. So now, even today, you're using body wash unscented, covering it up. So this whole argument you're making about, oh, it's misrepresented. Well, you're misrepresenting me. Maybe you have cancer and it's giving you some kind of crazy pheromone, and women can pick up on it. But no, they're hiding it. Maybe you're just like a fat piece of shit who like only eats onions and garlic, and then but somehow you like bathe a lot. Guess what? That, like, hey, now you smell good, right? So like they can't tell. You fake them out like
you put body wash.
I'm just saying. Oh yeah, well, as long as you deodorant.
If you're putting out an odor, you're putting out an odor through the cologne.
Do you have a problem with deodorant? Like, I mean, deodorant's supposed to stop that in its
What class did you
tracks.
learn about the cancer pheromones? Where you were going to hear the
Oh, that's first year. Those are fundamentals of like onions, the scent of onions and pheromone. Like, you can't get
There's science.
a degree in molecular
Science.
biology without knowing
Trust me,
that
I'm a doctor.
factoid.
Yeah.
But Gibbs is just showing us. He's giving us his diet plan and his makeup plan. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all I'm
First
getting.
of all,
He eats
I
onions
like
and
cooking.
garlic, and then he puts on a bunch of cologne and body wash and goes out. And that's how he gets
Don't you know?
ladies,
Hold on,
apparently.
you got to add celery. That's the holy trinity, don't you know? Garlic, onions, celery. It's the holy trinity.
Okay. I was going to ask this to Lactoid, but I think Lactoid already answered this question, so maybe I got that asked.
How does it feel to be made looking like a bunch of betas while I am wearing?
Yeah. You're right. We look like betas right now. Yeah.
Yeah, you are. Because what I'm doing is being accountable. I'm sitting here talking about how good makeup is, how wonderful it is for the economy.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm doing? I'm right now stimulating the economy like a true red-blooded American conservative.
Okay,
we don't have enough ladies to
a woman in his room did just put it on him.
I want to know how many women. I want to know how many women are going to be like, "Oh my God, you're wearing makeup," and not be turned off instantly by finding out that a straight guy is wearing makeup that they're trying. It's just like I don't see a single instance where a girl's like,
"It's called fashion, Papa, fashion."
All right. So, I'm glad you brought it up in that way, because I posted something in the group chat about the tradition of like wearing eyeliners, like for in Arab communities around the world. I'm sure I'm not familiar with it. I'm just reading about it. Although, I'm not super unfamiliar with it. Like I've seen men with Arabs with eyeliner before, like at clubs and stuff, like back in the day. So maybe there's a cultural context here that we're missing, that in like the Western, specifically American sense, it seems like a new sort of unusual thing. But is there a way to wear because I know we're making a distinction between the kind of makeup that women wear and things like war paint, but is there a third category? Is there a category of makeup that men can wear or would wear in certain cultural settings, like everywhere they go, like in normal life, like not things like war paint, but also are distinguishable for the kind of makeup that women would wear? Are there types of makeup like this eyeliner that I'm bringing up that are specifically masculine?
So, I guess sure. But the idea behind the eyeliner is that they wore it to remove like the sun, right? So if someone's wearing it because they think they look pretty in it, there's they're not even using it for the context that it was meant for. And that's kind of like the premise, is like if you're using something for beautification versus you're using something for utility, there's a difference.
You mean,
but is it still the case?
Under their eye for the sun reasons? Is that why you're saying? Okay.
Yeah,
this guy clearly has never played a professional
that might be the origin of it, right?
Like
but
a high level, like
if Arab men are still wearing it,
makeup.
But if Arab men are still wearing it for the aesthetic, even though they no longer need it for the sun, I mean, then it's evolved beyond its original use, right?
I mean, yeah, sure, but then once again, I'd ask if it's used for like beautification or if it's used for utility. And if it's used for beautification, I mean, once again, gender norms, even in the Middle Eastern world. I don't believe that they're using it for utility, if you want me to be honest. If you're wearing utility,
what if it's like a cultural thing?
We have sunglasses now.
So what if it starts as utility and it becomes like a fashion thing because it was utility. This is our heritage. Like and it comes like for example, cowboy boots, right? I wouldn't say it's a utility to wear cowboy boots if I'm working my 9 to 5 at fucking
Right.
I don't know inside. However, it is fashionable. However, it's also utility if I'm on my ranch. Cowboy boots are useful, right? So like it's part of our history here in Texas. Why would you like discount the cultural aspects to the beautification as well?
All hat, no cattle.
Yeah, all hat, no cow. Exactly. It's goddamn right.
I think there's a difference between accessorizing and adding makeup, and I think like even though you currently have a girl putting on makeup to prove the point, which is like amazing. That's deceptive, right? You're using this to
Accountability.
make the point, but you know that in your normal day to day, you would never do this, and I can guarantee that next Monday you will not have
This
your
is my
own
normal
makeup
day to
on.
day.
I mean, I see you. I've seen you every Monday for the past few Mondays. I think I can understand that you don't do.
But he's
this
guaranteeing
regularly.
next Monday.
Yeah,
I don't know
so,
about I guarantee anything.
yeah, I could,
Let me- hold on, I don't know what it's
next Monday, the Monday following, any stream that you've had, I think there's a history of seeing that that's not the norm for you. And so, like, I think deep down that norm exists and that exists for a reason. And
What
that
is
you don't
normal
agree with
anymore?
that norm?
It's a spectrum. Did we just hear about how like the rape is a spectrum? Normal is a spectrum. Like let me tell you.
Socialist Gibbs, I like
Socialist
this gender
this is-
theory, baby.
I'm not even talking about the gender theory. I'm just talking about fashion. Listen, now you're trying to put words in my mouth. Listen, I'm not the socialist here. It's lactoid railing
Oh, no, I mean,
against
I don't-
capitalism, wanting to ban makeup, wanting to
Mhm.
sit here, and then both of y'all outright lied about this war paint not being able to be beautification.
Well, you
How
just
many-
lied.
hold
Lactor
on.
doesn't want to ban makeup. And he explicitly said that in his opening
Oh, well,
statement.
then, okay, then I'm
Yeah.
wrong on
I
that
don't
part.
wanna
Ignore that.
ban
Somebody
makeup.
said they want to ban makeup. I heard it, but let's move on past that. That's
I
not
think you hear a lot of things.
Yeah, cool. I
Gibbs
hear a
is
lot
on
of
his
things. The
deception,
voices, bro.
Armstrong game right now.
Anyway, let me get a point. Y'all lied outright, though, and I'm admitting that maybe I was wrong on the other thing, but y'all lied outright. Y'all said the war paint stuff is not makeup, all right? That's not, or it is makeup, or it shouldn't count. If I go look at, like, I don't know, Texas Monthly, they're going to have some pictures of dudes and camo on their face in an ad. Guess what? That's the whole thing. There's going to be dudes on Instagram, on Tinder,
That's
on
face
Bumble.
paint.
They're going to have their like shot next to the deer. They're going to have their like whatever on there,
Google
the
makeup.
camo on there. No, I'm just saying that's
Google
makeup.
face
Let's
full
make
of
it- Let me
makeup.
add another one. If you're a
Google
cosplayer,
face
this could be
full
for
of
work.
makeup.
I'm just saying just because it's utility doesn't mean it can't also be beautification. Both have
beautification.
roles. It absolutely is. I'm sorry that you want to disown that. Like that's like saying that, for example. All right, we can agree that humans are animals, right? There are parts on a man that women find attractive, parts on a woman that men find attractive, right? Because of sexual desires, right? That's utilitarian. But guess what? That's also beautification. Same thing here. It can be utilitarian and it can be beautiful.
Like
Um,
some men wear
You look
Oh,
like
oh.
Mrs.
You go,
Doubtfire.
Go see, you
like
go.
when you go to football games and stuff like that, some guys cover their whole face in like a
That's right.
paint
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff.
Same colors.
That's,
I would that
that's
like
not makeup.
apply?
That's
Absolutely
face
is.
paint.
I mean,
It's literally classified as face paint. You go to the party store to buy it. You can't go to Macy's and buy
Why are they
face
doing
paint.
it though?
It's also like a stereotype. People like that stereotype.
But
What do you mean? Why are they
but
doing
hold
it?
on,
They're
but
trying to
also, like,
support a
in
team and
this-
cover
in-
their face.
In the same
They're-
way,
they're
you'll
putting on
have
a
like
costume.
kids, right? Like they go to the fair and then they get their face painted like a tiger.
Yeah.
Like is that kid wearing makeup in the same way that like his mother's wearing makeup? Like those, like we can understand there's a difference here, right?
That kid will go to the workplace with that tiger makeup on for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's not how we operate. So like there's a beautification.
Like, hold on,
just
wait.
putting
Ghosty, would you
chemicals
wear-
on your face does not equal makeup, right?
Would you wear David Bowie makeup to work and and see it as professional, or like look like Kiss, and not, would expect people to be like, no, it's just makeup?
Yeah.
No, I think there's a difference, but I'm
A
saying
distinct difference, like a clear difference. It's like wearing a
But-
mask.
I thought we were arguing about wearing makeup for utility versus beautification, and I mean, I guess like I'm just wondering if wearing, guys like painting their face like that.
It's to be beautiful.
It's not to be beautiful.
It's not
I
to be.
mean, it's so, like,
it's a
it's-
costume.
Lighting.
You think it's but it's to like look a certain way. It's for
Not
their
beautiful.
appearance.
Yeah.
But it's not beautiful.
Okay,
Beautiful is a
like, guys,
specific
The
like.
beauty for guys is different than beauty for women.
Hold on,
Yeah,
hold
and
on.
as
So-
a
think-
guy, I'm telling you.
Oh, come on, ghosty. Right? When a guy was it the red and yellow for the Washington team, right?
Yeah.
I don't know color.
Whatever it
Purple
is,
and yellow for the LA Lakers, right? That's the thing, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
purple and gold. When the guy has like this side purple, the middle gold, this side purple, right? That they're walking
Yeah.
around, they're like, this person is more beautiful to literally anybody. Is that person more beautiful to anyone?
But
when I
well,
do
for
that.
women,
Oh.
that's why I'm saying though, men express try to express women are attracted to different things for men than men
Are
are
you attracted to
for
that
women.
though? Are you attracted to that?
I mean, I'm not like a football person.
There's
but,
no
like,
woman that's
they're
attracted to
doing it.
that.
They're doing it for attention, right? They're doing it to
You don't
express
know that.
themselves in the look and for like.
You know, they're doing
I
self-expression. I
mean,
hear you. I think you. Maybe I'm following you. They're doing it for self-expression, right? They're expressing something. Hey, I'm a fan of this team, right? But specifically, what we're talking about in this moment is for looking more attractive, more sexually
Vanity.
attractive. Vanity, yeah,
Yeah.
vanity. This is it's not a use for vanity. It's for something
okay,
else,
yeah, yeah.
transmitting an alliance to this team, to this organization, to this culture around you, but not
Okay.
looking better, right?
Sure. I think a lot of women do wear makeup though like that too. When they go all out with their eye shadow
Mhm.
and stuff like that. A lot of that isn't just to attract men. It is a self-expression,
That's
in
true.
extreme. So I'm just like kind of comparing
I mean, it's
those because
self-expression through beauty.
that's not everyday makeup. You know what I
So
mean?
makeup is a spectrum too.
Yeah. I
Well, I
wanted to
think so,
ask.
and
Right,
I,
you go
I
first,
just wanted to
Anton.
say that that spectrum goes maybe beyond makeup, right? So Ali said earlier we should distinguish between makeup and accessorizing, but then his explanation for what the eyeliners were, which was to block out the sun, is sort of like the same function of sunglasses, right? But we also like see people wearing sunglasses when it's not necessary, when it's dusk outside or even at
I
night,
do
right?
that.
Why are you wearing your
Yep.
sunglasses when you don't need them? Well, it's for the same reason why you might be wearing makeup that was functional at one point, but is now no longer functional, and you're still doing it. You're doing it for the aesthetics, right? I mean, clearly. So once the function wears out and the tradition continues, it starts to become something that's aesthetic. And I don't see much of a difference between what Ali described, the purpose of eyeliner being, and the purpose of sunglasses.
Okay, so I think so aesthetic is everyone can use aesthetic, but I think there's a difference between a male wearing a dress and a girl wearing a dress, simply because dresses are literally, at least for Western American style dresses, they're made to fit the forms of women, right? But then we see that in the Middle Eastern countries, they wear thobes, right? And that's because it helps them stay warm, so on and so forth. But that's not a dress. It's a completely different aesthetic. It's a completely different look. So when it comes to aesthetics, I think there's beauty, and I think there's being good looking, and I think guys can use aesthetics to be good looking. There's nothing wrong with it. There's the way you dress, it represents a certain thing. You are expressing what you're doing. But I think there's a difference between a guy trying to be beautiful and pretty and a guy just trying to be attractive.
Oh, okay. We're gonna have to explore the difference between that in a second.
Yeah.
First, Sean, on YouTube land. Thank you for giving us 10 Canadian fun bucks. He says, what a foundational topic. It's bound to contour the future of masculinity. Take an extra $5 to make up for missing last week. I really appreciate that. I get the puns. Thank you, Sean. I hope you are enjoying yourself. And yeah, that was only 10 minutes ago. Oh, I'm feeling great.
You should. It's good timing.
But yeah, if you're out there in YouTube land, you use the super chat. We'll read the super chat. We'll react to the super chat. We're reacting positively to that super chat. So consider supporting the channel through super chats or channel memberships. That'd be great. If you're out there in Twitch land, then consider becoming a sub. Thank you, Gibbs, for subbing for 1 year straight. Thank you.
Woo!
Oh man, you've been here for a year. Wow, that's actually really surprising. Like now that I think about it, like I don't feel like you've been here for a year.
I
right?
don't think I've been on the show for a year. I think it's like 6-8 months.
Okay. Oh, fair enough then. All right.
Somewhere
Well,
then. But we're getting there.
I do appreciate you, friend.
I'm
Thank you for-
glad you have me.
Yeah, I'm really glad you've been around as well. But yeah, subs to channel, give bits, give subs. That's how I do all this. So if you appreciate this, you want more of it, if you think these conversations are fun, consider doing that. Use your Amazon Prime / Prime Gaming here on the channel. Okay. So Okay, I want to get back to
Lactoid was laughing at me. I want to know what he was laughing at.
I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at Gibbs. Okay, I was laughing at
Okay,
Gibbs
cool.
because,
Cool,
and the
cool,
reason
cool.
why I was laughing at Gibbs is because I think I've talked about this before when it came to drag queens, but like colorophobia or whatever, the fear of clowns. I do think that I have like
Lactoid's being triggered right now by the
a
makeup
little
of-
bit. I'm being a little bit triggered right now. I'm not gonna lie. I think that there is some like conservative, perhaps like foundation to like my psyche because like I don't know how to describe it. It feels
alarm is
wrong.
going off.
The disgust bells are going off.
I think I know how to describe it. Can I attempt to describe it? And I think this is something. Okay, I think
Uncanny
there's
Valley?
this innate. No, I don't know if that. But I think there's this little innate feeling in men of brotherhood, right? Like we feel brotherhood to all of them. And when we see one of our friends and one of our brothers do something that we deem is like less masculine or hurts their stature or hurts their whatever.
Let me tell you something, boys.
I think there's a whole like you're looking out for like
So-
it's just bothering me.
so-
I feel you
let me-
like
The
let
link
me
is
push-
broken. The brotherhood link is broken.
Let me push,
I feel
let
you,
me
my
push
boy.
back on this. I want to talk about the league. The fact
Feel
that they're
you,
talking
my
about
boy.
brotherhood league. This is beta behavior because alphas lead, right? We don't have to worry about these brotherhood things.
No, they
Let me
don't.
give you an example. So I did MMA for many years.
All
One
alphas
of-
say they're the
hold
alpha.
on.
By
One
the
of the
way.
one of the dirty ways that I'm not saying I was the best fighter, but I was a dirty fighter. Is you would shellac your fingernails, right? And that would do is it would make your nail harder. So when you get them in a clinch, you try to like cut them, then you try to open up the cut, right? Real dirty, but you get just TKOs, however you can. Anyway, I'll tell you one thing. I definitely one of the times I fought this guy, he came out in a similar makeup to this, and I thought, man, I can't lose to this guy because what would be more dominant than a man walking out like this and then giving me a whoop it? Nothing. That would be the truest, most Giga Chad thing I've ever seen. This guy came out looking like something out of Lactoid's fantasies, and then we over here and they give me a sample of the whoopings. I don't know about that one, boys. That sounds pretty Giga Chad, and I'm sorry that Lactoid's over here just like.
Wait, why is it Giga Chad, Gibbs?
He's got his
You
weak
gotta-
genetics and weak psyche that this is getting under his skin. Like a real strong like Giga Chad Alpha would be able to push past any kind of thing like this. This is just head games, and you're losing.
Yeah, but why does the head game work?
Because it's weak.
Because why does it throw you off? If you're about to wrestle and you see someone in makeup and girly makeup, it throws you off. Why? But it threw you off. It
doesn't throw me off. I got motivated. I was like, damn, this guy's. Yeah, it didn't throw me off. It threw me my game into a higher gear.
It clearly inspired him. Actually.
It inspired me.
Yeah, but why? Because you didn't want to lose to someone who looked like
No, I thought, God damn, that's a great idea. I should do that in the future.
But you were fired up because you didn't want to lose to someone who looked like
something from Lactoid's
Uncanny Valley.
Lactoid's fantasies.
Uncanny Valley, actually.
The words for a reason.
No,
I think Uncanny Valley is actually just like reading into it. I think this is like actually perhaps like a good description of the feeling that that I have when I see what Gibbs is putting me through right now. Like the sort of feeling of just like there's something off. It's like when you're watching an AI smile a little bit too wide. Or like that kind of like sensation you get where it's
that's what I call weakness. Weakness is what you got going on.
So
like
I
weak, low T.
Because Alpha sense, he's looking and he's seeing deception.
I see weakness in.
That's not deception. That's not. Hold on. I'm not going to say that what he's doing is deception because it's not. It's very clear that he is wearing makeup. But it's like it's. There's another element. There's another element that's bothering me.
The makeup of the soul is what he's wearing. Is the deception of that he wants to do this and that this is
I've been advocating this the whole time. What's the deception?
Lactoid.
Are you saying that I'm not being honest about my point? Do you think I'm anti-capitalism?
I will get back to you. And I also want to get to Ali in a second, but Lactoid. So to be clear, when it comes, you talked about braces, right? You said, like people wear braces, like for medical braces. Apparently, you were one of those, right? Well, I wore braces.
Migraines.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that could be a thing, but today I learned.
Yep, I was having a lot of pressure in my. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I wore braces, but unfortunately, it was an awful time. But that was for beautification. So my teeth were perfectly functional. For the chewing, right, and the eating, but they weren't. They were all over the place. And so now I have a beautiful smile, right? More attractive smile theoretically. So would that be fooling a person, right? Like if I'm approaching a person, they're looking at me and they're looking for signs of health, right? Symmetrical face, more or less. But looking at my teeth,
Don't sell yourself short.
looking at my teeth, right? Like in height, like it's super tall, like super duper tall. But like my teeth aren't what they were previously. So am I lying to them? And is it a problem?
So I could be open to arguments that it could be somewhat deceptive. But I think there's two main. The biggest distinction is that I think there is like a genuine health reason to undergo, just like for bathing, right?
Yeah.
And when you have a genuine health reason, it's very, I think, clear. You could say, the intention here has nothing to do with like social deception, nothing to do with that. It's entirely has to do with this kind of health aspect. Totally get that. But let's like leave that aside for a second. Let's say that your intention is to deceive somebody, right? You're doing it like I'm gonna get my teeth straight so people think that I was born with straight teeth, or people think that like my teeth are naturally this straight, right? That's your intention of doing it. That this is a situation that I'd be most open to the idea of it being deceptive. I'd probably just think about it a little bit more, but I think maybe one distinction could be that like it is somewhat natural at this point, right? Like your teeth are now like you have the DNA of your teeth is the same, right? Like your teeth are now in their position, and you are representing your body to the world in the same way that like if you go to the gym and get big muscles, you're not really deceiving the world because your muscles are actually this big now, right? Like that is you. But when it comes to things like plastic surgery, where it's you're putting things that are not you in order to accentuate certain things, or makeup where you're literally covering up your face, or you use like filters on dating apps, for example, or other forms of filters. I think is also deceptive, kind of in a similar way.
Hair enhancements, like lots of guys, they start like balding early, and they use like hair enhancements and stuff. Would you consider
Like
that
wigs.
deception?
Yeah. Well, hold
Not
on.
even wigs, but they'll take some kind of thing that makes their hair grow back, or something like that, or like stuff.
Sure.
Is that like deceptive?
No, I know what you're saying. Like I forget the name of the drug, but like you spray it on. It's like
Finasteride.
yeah, that one, right? You
Rogaine.
spray it on. Yeah, you spray it on your head, or you like rub it in, or and then you take a pill or something. By the way, the pills that you take for those kind of hair loss is, I think, substantially related, or is the exact same drug that people use to transition. So just so people are aware of that, look into that. But do I think that's a level of deception? I mean, I think wigs absolutely are. I think wigs are analogous to makeup 1-to-1. If you actually like do something that makes your hair grow, I don't know if that's deception in the same way if you're doing something that makes your muscles grow, right? Like you like the thing that's growing is actually you. It is a part of your body. It is like your DNA. It is what makes up you. So I think there's a distinction there that doesn't exist when it comes to wigs. I think wig is probably the closest thing, or like no, I think a wig is probably the closest thing I can think of.
But maybe clarify and maybe see more where your line is. Like, so I guess braces less problematic, but like veneers, that probably crosses the line for you.
Yes, 100%. Right. So veneers, where you take it, you decap your. By the way, disgusting process. I can't believe people do it themselves. Yeah, it's terrifying. Yeah, they grind your teeth down, which is just like, oh, it makes my literally makes my skin crawl. Like the idea of that happening. They grind your teeth down and then put like these fake that I think is not only barbaric. Yeah, not only barbaric, but I also think that's very identical to makeup.
And you got to get them changed every 6 to 10 years, I think. It's like they break often. It's fucking like it's good reason to go to Turkey though.
It's actually the worst because don't go to Turkey for that. But I want to ask you, or I want to put this forward to you, Lactoid, and this might sound like I'm stretching things, but like, try to follow me here, right? Like, you are making a distinction between like medical benefits, right, which have like benefits for survival. You would say the medical benefits could have benefits for survival, right, and propagation of like general
health.
Yeah. Okay. And then separately, you do beatification, but like, are these two things distinct, right? Like, if you are, we'll start with women, right? If you're a woman and like looking better will, one, like give you better job prospects, two, access to better partners, right, who have more resources, or like give you direct access to medical to personal benefits. Like, I had a friend, I talked about this before, right? she told me she was unfortunately chronically sick, and but not wealthy, not a wealthy individual, right? Just like trying to struggle by like the rest of us. But she told me that, and she was also white, which kind of plays into this. That she would go to the hospital, and like she noticed a difference, right? She came there with regular clothes, right? Just like a like a regular like lady, and was asking for medication, right? Like pain medication. Like there would be all kinds of assumptions, all kinds of questions that she would get, right? She would get slower service. However, when she like came there put together, right? She did her makeup, she did her nails, she did like the whole thing, right? When she presented herself, now, oh, well, she's like a woman of class, right? And so she's not a druggie, certainly not. And she got better service, she got quicker service, and got the help that she needed. So, is there a true distinction between these two things?
There is a critical distinction. There's a lot of overlap, and I'm not going to disagree that the way society treats you absolutely has an effect on your health, because your mental health has an effect on your physical health, right? But that doesn't necessarily change what the actual function is, which the function is to get other people to treat you differently. This can still be deception, right? So you'd also be a lot healthier if you made more money, right? There's a direct correlation between wealth and health. So therefore, is it like a health reason why this car salesman puts sawdust in the transmission in order to sell the cars? Arguably, right? He's working to make money. He's scamming you to make money to improve his own health. So there's a health reason. Yeah, like there is a connection there, but the fraud element is, or the deception element, to be more clear, is missing from like if you're bathing in order to fight like a skin infection or to prevent a skin infection, because the goal there is not to deceive somebody into treating you differently for your health. It's to, I guess, deceive the bacteria from growing on you, or not deceive, but like to stop the bacteria from growing on you for your health.
So I hear you, but I guess what I'm just trying to do is like maybe because it seems like you're presenting these two different spectrums, and I'm trying to make them one spectrum, right? That on one side, there is like people doing this for like social reasons, slash like beauty reasons, right? Um, is that how I want to do this? But in any case, right? There are reasons that we would consider more valid, right, and ones that are less valid, more for vanity, right? But like to understand these things aren't completely separate. That there's an interaction here. Like if like for teeth, right? Like okay, let me ask you about this, right? Sticking on the dental side. So like in this country, unfortunately, we don't actually take dental health seriously. We don't provide it, right? The government should provide it. I know you disagree with that, but whatever, right? But we should provide help for that. When people don't get that, right? There are a lot of people struggling with bad dental health because they can't see a doctor or whatever, right? But let's say they weren't like we are ignoring the pain that they're in, and they're in a lot of pain. But beyond that, simply like interacting with society, like their teeth have fallen out for all kinds of reasons, right? Some of them their fault, some not, right? But their teeth have fallen out. That makes it harder to do just about everything, and people look at you completely differently when you have missing teeth. So, in that case, like if they do get to a doctor and like replace their teeth, is that a deception? Like, I mean, let's say they replace the teeth and they look exactly like they did previously, right? Like I'm putting in false teeth, but they look 100% like they previously did. Is that a deception?
Um, I think it could be. So one of the elements of deception here, I think, is betraying an expectation. You set an expectation and then you betray it. So if the question is, do people have an expectation that you don't have false teeth? Um, maybe, right? I could see that being deception. I think makeup is a little bit different because, at least depending on the way it's done, because if makeup is done specifically with the intent of making it look like you're not wearing makeup, then you're setting an expectation that you want this person to look at you as though you look this way naturally. And then you're defeating that expectation. You're undermining, you're betraying that expectation. And that's what I think makes the deception. Like, I think the best analogy would be we all know catfishing, right? Like, let's say I digitally manipulated my face to look more attractive on a dating app. Would everybody here say that that's deceptive?
Yeah.
Almost certainly, yeah.
Yeah.
How is it, like, if I described makeup as just IRL manipulation?
I
Why
think
would
it's
that be
different.
different?
I think it's different because, I mean, especially like if you're going on a date or something, I think it's pretty like, it's like very normal. It's super normal for women to wear makeup. I think it would only be deceptive, and especially like a big part of
There
makeup
wasn't the expectation.
is wanting it to look natural. So I think it would only be deceptive as if like she actually lies about it. Like, oh no, I'm not wearing makeup. And she actually is. I think that would be deceptive. But because it's so normal in society, I don't think it's actually deceptive. There are ways women can wear makeup where, like, I've seen there's like some TikTok clip or something, or I don't know, somebody showed me and she like literally tapes her face and she looks like a completely different person. But that's not like everyday people.
That's not even makeup anymore.
And yeah, and that is
That's
I
facial
disagree.
manipulation.
But
That's
I
literally
disagree.
facial manipulation.
I
Makeup
disagree
is
with that.
facial manipulation.
I disagree with that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You are manipulating like the characteristics of your face to appeal to somebody in
Yeah,
ways that they
I think-
wouldn't
I think
otherwise appeal to
using
them.
glue to
You're
stick
okay,
on
but
false
this is
eyelashes. I
the
don't know how
the
that's
problem
any
I have
different.
with your argument is that you're kind of like you're using deception as if most like the general average man doesn't assume that women are already wearing makeup. It's not a deceptive thing after a certain point. Like no one's
It's
being
no, well,
deceived. It's an expectation that we have.
It's
Well,
not.
also, if you're-
It's not that men. I agree that men may have this kind of general conception
Yeah.
that women wear makeup, but I don't think that men are truly like informedly. I don't think they're truly informed as to what this person actually looks like without makeup. And there's a concern
I
as
get your
to
point.
whether or not somebody really has a. Yeah, it's not like a direct lie, but it definitely is like the actions appear to be deceptive. Like you can deceive people through your actions even if you don't actively lie. But I think where it becomes very deceptive, like explicitly deceptive, is when you get a situation like I described, like where somebody, like you have men that are intentionally trying to do actions to get women to not have their makeup on, like taking it in the pool, for example. A lot of the comments I saw under those like tips that like the bros had for each other was women saying things like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we got waterproof makeup now. You're fucked."
They
So
do.
And it's
I
like,
think
why would you wear
for
water?
a while, a
Right,
long
yeah,
while.
I know, but the question is, why would you wear waterproof makeup? Don't you
Yeah.
know the purpose of him taking you to the pool is? Like the
Well-
goal is to make you not wear makeup because he wants to see what you actually look like.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think men actually want that. I think men are attracted to the form that's being presented, which is the form with the makeup. And I think that's what men want at the end of the day. So they don't care necessarily what the girl looks like without the
I
makeup.
care.
So
I
long
care because
as
I want my
you
kids
do-
to look attractive, just like you
do,
said. It's a eugenics kind of.
And
Yeah,
I love you, I
that's
appreciate
why
you,
the
and
distinction.
we can discern. But the idea,
That's why
but
you have
the
to-
reality is that most men don't.
That's why you have to make the distinction between like a filter and makeup, right? Because
Yeah.
if you're using a filter on an app, and then what shows up on the date, obviously there's isn't going to
different thing.
match. Then
So it's even
then
less deceptive, actually. Then
what it would be, well, in the end, but no, because I do think that men are aware that women wear makeup. So
no.
it's probably-
It's less deceptive because at least the man figures it out when he sees her in person. With makeup, you can see her in person and you don't know until she takes it off.
Yeah, but as a man, why would I
Eventually they
care,
take
right?
it off,
Like,
yeah.
if the person that I'm dating is
Why
wearing
would
makeup
you
all
care?
the time, then what's being presented is what I'm getting because
Oh,
I'm getting
men
somebody
care.
who wears makeup.
No, men care in the same way that, like, again, like, an relationship where she's just always like digitally manipulated the face. Like, no, there is like this conception of like
If
some
she-
people value natural beauty. Like, look, I like my hold on. I like my Rolexes like I like my women, all original parts.
If she only has an anime avatar,
Embrace
right?
you
Well,
like the way-
But you know the
if it's
fake
online
market is
relationship, then
huge,
that's
brother.
her.
The fake market is huge, but I don't want to
yeah,
buy a fake Rolly.
So let's.
And you
we're
don't
gonna-
have
we're
to.
gonna
That's
go
the
to
beauty
Corey,
of it.
We're gonna go to Gibbs, but before we do that, Corey Gibbs. Before we do that, I just need to ask Ghosty something. And jumping off of what Aiko was saying, so you said previously that you think manipulation is, okay, right? Oh, sorry, like bad, right? Digital manipulation is bad.
Yeah.
But like, have you ever used an Instagram filter?
Like I've like on Snapchat.
Or Snapchat?
something?
I don't know. Whatever
Either
you're
way,
using
yeah.
these
I've
days.
done like a Snapchat filter. Yeah. I don't honestly. the really extreme ones, I think they make people look worse. So, but like there's like light filters that kind of just like blur your face a little bit. Like I've done that before.
Yeah, it removes the blemishes,
Yeah.
makes the eyebrows thicker,
Like,
makes the lips more flush, makes the
Yeah.
hair look fuller. It's TikTok is literally nothing. They have literally such good. They follow your face now, and it's like you literally can't tell the difference between someone wearing makeup and someone having the AI filter. So
There
you could
was-
just go bareface.
it was
I think
this
that's deceptive.
go ahead.
In my like when I was on a dating app, like I might have had like one like filter picture, and again, it wasn't heavily filtered. Like it wouldn't put like fake eye and shit on me. It would just be like a color filter, so kind of just like smooth whatever. But like, and I tried to have I had like natural pictures too. But I mean, I'm not like I wasn't.
Well,
like,
you're
on
not the arbiter of
but-
like this. Like she's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
the speaker for girls in this.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
clearly
sure
clear.
it's
about
As a
that.
Wait, do you-
representative
hold
of
on,
the
do y'all-
women
do y'all-
community,
Just,
Yeah.
just on that question, who here has not used the Snapchat filter?
I mean,
I
I've
don't
used
think
the
I-
dog one. Does that count?
Like I have.
yeah, I've never
Yeah.
used a Snapchat filter with the
I mean, I've
intention
never
of getting
used
somebody to
Snapchat,
think
so-
this way. I
So
listen to
what if
it.
like you just
Yeah.
use it because like, oh, my photo's dark, I can just put the lighter photo on, it makes all the colors lighter. Like you never even done that.
That's also
not-
different than trying to change the way. you
No,
look.
I mean it's deceiving. My photo was darker, right? Like same
I never
thing.
have, but I would.
Oh my god.
Yeah, hold on.
Stretch-
If
stretch
wait,
Armstrong.
if the darkness and lightness of that photograph was like material to like something, then
Yeah,
yeah,
it was better
you,
'cause you
yeah.
can see it.
Well, no, yeah, sure. If it was material though, in terms of like her or his belief as to something, but like I don't see that as like a super like relevant. But like people's attractiveness.
I
Give
just
me-
wanted to
I'll
see-
give you something.
I wanted
I'll
to
give
pull the
something.
audience and try and
When,
ask her.
when back in the day, back in the day,
I have
it
something
used to
else
be
after Corey.
it used to be that like if a girl was bigger, in order to hide what she looked like, what she would do is a sky photo.
Tapeworms.
Right
Who
up
does
top.
And it's like
Oh,
the
okay.
angling
That's
is
angle, but you
deceptive. The
Going
angling
way
is
back.
deceptive because all
Yeah.
you
I
see
hear that a lot.
is your boobs,
Yeah.
and that's all the person's saying is like, oh, just that. So there are certain things you
I've
can
been
do with your
fooled.
photos.
I've been fooled by that.
Without even
Yeah.
filters, just angles, just whatever it may be. There are things you can do.
Angles are fucking
Yeah.
deception now.
Yeah.
They can be.
So they do
Bro,
that.
just
It
because you
makes
got your
them-
best angle,
it
like
makes
it's an angle
you
they can
look-
see you at shit.
I don't know. Best angle. I hear what you're saying with best angle, but like that's a little stretching it when literally all your photos
Gibbs
are
is
like
Stretch
straight up,
Armstrong
right?
today.
And it makes you.
I'm not
look,
stretching nothing. You'll see it. We're gonna
thinner.
get to me in a minute.
I don't know. I mean, it's a little stretch, but anyway, the point is, I was bringing it up, right? And obviously, Ghosty isn't the arbiter of all this. I understand.
She's the queen of the women.
She's the queen of women, so right. But no. The only reason I bring that up is that like I had seen this article, and it talked about like how like some absurd number of like Instagram pictures, right? And I'm sure it's like the same for the other ones, right? For these for the sites, are like filtered, right? Especially the ones that like have like the hashtag no filter, right? They're especially likely to be filtered.
Photo edited, man.
Yeah, the photo edited, right?
Like
This individual. And it was so much so that like people also like they built this reality of themselves like through their like social media pictures. And then they go to a surgeon, right? And they're like, "Hey, surgeon, make me look like this." Right?
Make
Like
me
this
look
is my
like me.
Instagram photos. I want this to actually be me now. Right? And then there was like a further push, like, hey, well, could it be the case that in the future this is expected, right? Like digital makeup, which is essentially what it is, right? Be expected of men and women that like when you present yourself to the world, present yourself into like to applications or whatever, right? That like, well, of course you use a filter, right? I mean, of course a woman will use makeup to make herself look better, but of course anyone will like use a filter to make themselves look better when they're presenting themselves online, especially since so many of our interactions are online in the first place, right? Why wouldn't that be the case? So like I guess I'm just trying to show like there's like very like the barrier between these two things is like shrinking and combining in some
Yeah.
weird ways. But yeah, let me go to Corey and then Gibbs.
Oh, I just want to, I guess, push back on the, I guess, the one argument I think maybe Ghosty made, and it might be multiple others, of like, especially when it comes to women makeup, of like, well, It's not deception because it's so normalized, and therefore it's always just the implicit expectation, and sort of what you're going off of, Prime, in terms of like, yeah, on Instagram, okay, since everyone's using a filter, well, you should just kind of like assume that everyone's deceiving you. I don't want to live in that world, okay, where I think it's a bad thing. Of like just because it's normalized doesn't make it okay, okay? Just because the social expectation can be wrong and can be deceptive. Just because everyone's doing it doesn't make it okay.
Yeah, can I piggyback off of that really quick? Like, I agree, and I do think it's a huge problem. How normalized makeup and now with filters and everything, manipulation is. It is a big problem because guys have these like false expectations. So when a normal looking woman, she's like attractive, when she does take off her makeup, now it's like guys have this expectation of this like perfect person, and it can cause problem for women, and it's just like perpetuating this to wear more and more and more makeup and never take it off. And so I do see the issue, like, and like I didn't start wearing makeup
And it's not cheap.
till my early 20s, like at all. I never wore any makeup to my early 20s, and people do treat you different. Yeah, so I do agree it's a problem.
But it's I don't see it's a problem. So like, okay, haircuts for men, right? Like,
Ban them for sure.
Especially where I'm at, like getting a fade every 2 weeks is like semi-norm, and like to get a haircut is about $60 to $70 every 2 weeks, right? Which is like $140 a month.
What?
Nothing. Yeah,
That's like $100 Canadian. What? Where?
brother.
What?
We guys. Listen,
right
guys
about that.
have. There's a okay. So
Wait,
Prime,
how much did you say? How much did you say for you?
$70 a haircut, fade, beard, whole
Are
shit.
Yeah, I
you-
mean it depends.
you
I have
Michigan
someone
or
that comes to my
something?
place. I have someone that comes to my place, and I pay him like 50.
Well,
I
they
mean, yeah,
come to
but
your
like
place.
50 is the stock average. But
Yeah,
if
they
you go
come
to
to
a
my
salon,
place.
if you go to a barbershop, it's gonna be like $60. You're gonna tip the guy, like whatever it
But
may
they have a
be.
salon.
Like, yeah. So there are things that men do already that I think there is comparable. I think men having like the makeup, the haircuts, the beard, the dress, the garb, the colognes, the accessories, the watches, things that are meant to show status. So Prime, earlier you were like you wanted like the
Motorcycle.
You don't do you think there's a difference between being beautiful and being handsome?
Being beautiful and being handsome. No, I don't.
No,
I
you
want
don't think
to-
you
Yeah,
don't
go
think there are things that like okay, so like Lactoid gets a motorcycle, he looks more rugged. Girls find that like it's a handsome attribute. You look more masculine.
They see
A girl goes
Deceptive.
a girl goes and she gets her hair done and it's being beautiful. Do you think like Lactoid is like wanting to be called beautiful?
So yeah, so okay, you're making
That's
this
what it- yeah.
distinction. Okay, so
He is
I'm
a
just
Swedish
trying-
model.
That's true. I hear what you're trying to do, and it's like not the way I thought you were going. Right? You're saying that between beautiful and handsome, these are often gendered terms, right? And we apply them differently. But even though like the same thing, like they're trying to do essentially the same thing, right? If they're trying to be more attractive, if
Yeah.
Lactoid, right, is trying to fool women into thinking he's manly, right? And then women are trying to fool us into thinking they have like smooth skin or whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So I hear you. So yeah, I agree that they're gendered. So if that's what you're trying to say, then I guess I agree there.
Yeah, and so like basically what I was saying is that for like makeup, the reason I'm not a big fan of like men wearing makeup is because I do think makeup is more of a beautiful thing versus I don't think there's gonna be any attractive value to it. I think if a man gets found wearing makeup, and honestly, I don't want the idea that like men should, like, I don't want to have to wear makeup. I'm gonna throw it in.
have to wear
That's just an added fucking no. If it becomes the norm, then if I have a son, then he has to wear makeup in order to compete with the norm.
Or it could be counterculture.
I mean, sure, but I also don't want my kid to be counterculture. I want my kid to semi fit into it to a
fit
slight
in and
extent.
fall in line.
No. I'm just saying. So like
Socialist.
so like makeup for women to me is probably once again I don't think it's deceptive. I think it's okay. I liken it more to like hair getting like a hair transplant for men. I think like as a man, if you get a hair transplant, I don't think that's like. I think you're doing it to look more handsome. I think you're doing it for the aesthetic. I don't think you're like. And I don't see anything like necessarily wrong. I don't see it as deception. I think you are just trying to enhance your physical features that you already have. And so like that's why braces for me, like especially if it's something medical, right? If someone has to get a nose job because they have a deviated septum or whatever it may be, I mean, sure. but then you can get a nose job and not get it slimmed down. There's a difference between like fixing something and then like just trying to enhance something, and then like there's like a shallow judgment to it. So, but like I do think there's a distinct difference between beauty and like being rugged.
I don't think those are analogous. Getting hair transplants and wearing makeup. The reason why is because hair transplant is more of a permanent solution. Makeup is like a daily situation. And so I would just say makeup.
What about tattooed makeup? That's a thing.
Yeah, makeup is also a permanent in like most girls' lives. Like they will always be wearing, not always be wearing makeup, but they will always wear makeup like in their day to day.
I mean, at that point, clothing is a permanent solution. I mean, that's a weird way to define permanent.
Clothing is it is a permanent solution, and style is like a semi like you're making it permanent. Like some people pick a style, they go with that style. And we do have like things. Lawyers should be wearing suits. You know, cops have uniforms. The clothing is permanent.
What I'm saying is, I think the analogous thing to getting a hair transplant is like a BBL, like another.
No, I think the BBL would be like getting fake abs or getting fake biceps. You're adding something to, not fixing something that already is.
Leave the BBLs alone, right? They did nothing wrong to
What I'm trying to say is having a transplant is like an invasive procedure that you would, the analogous thing to an invasive procedure is just another invasive procedure. And I do think
we're talking about in terms of cosmetics and like appeal. We're not talking about in terms of like if a procedure is the same thing.
It's analogous because you're changing your appearance to make it appear as something like natural or whatever, just to make yourself look better.
Yeah. That what I'm saying is that's when I said a BBL, I'm saying that's more analogous to a hair transplant. And the BBL is more analogous than a hair transplant than something like that you have to manually do every day. And I think like makeup could be
You're
like
arguing something so different.
Yeah, that's like different.
There's a difference between working out and getting a BBL. I understand that. But like if someone were to do Rogaine, that's not the same thing as doing BBL, and that's still a hair enhancement to make their hair look fuller.
Well, Rogaine is medicine. It wouldn't be nowhere near the same.
I know, but the premise is hair growth and replacing dead hair follicles.
The medicine for cosmetic purposes.
You guys are being bad faith.
I'm being bad faith.
This kind of goes with this. All right, hold on. This kind of goes. So, Lactoid, yours, and I know Ollie's got a few other issues, but y'all's big issue, or one of y'all's main issues, depending on which one of y'all it is the deception portion, right?
Not me. I just think it's feminine.
That's my issue.
Okay, so Lactoid, fine. We'll focus on
Lactoid, that's my main issue, and then if it's not deceptive, but then if it's not deceptive, it's disgusting. But go ahead.
Okay, well let's start with the deception, right? Like Lactoid. So earlier, I think you should be a fan of deception, right? Because you said you want to have a hotter female to like have your genetic pairing with, so that your kids are more likely to be attractive. Is that correct?
That was me.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And you also, in your chat, you also said, well, what if I'm willing to engage in a risk of a one-night stand, but only with someone of sufficient level of natural attractiveness?
Natural attractiveness, yes.
She was less attractive, less sure of the risk-reward analysis. Is that correct? Would you say those?
I would say that's correct, counselor. That's correct. Yes.
Great. So this is his stance. Now, here's the deal. Now, his stance is that he wants to find the best-looking woman available. All right. So it would behoove him to maybe, I'm not saying deceive, but maybe exaggerate his prowess. Like, instead of saying I'm a corporate lawyer, I'm the lead counsel on many cases for my corporate firm. I'm a high earner, one of the top earners, in fact. I drive a motorcycle to make up for my my weak beta phobias of clowns and makeup. Like you have to have like these offsetting things. You make yourself look at a better. You're deceiving them in order to get the best looking potential mate possible. Say you have a hot date and you break out real bad. Why wouldn't you have one of your female associates or friends come over and assist you in hiding that blemish so that you look prime A1 Lactoid as he should be in the flesh for your date, which potentially, if it's a Victoria's Secret model, why wouldn't you want to look the best? And if
this is like mega egoist.
I'm just saying. So this is your argument.
Flag behind you. That's very
no.
This is your argument. This is your argument, Lactoid. Is you want the best looking?
To make up for his Canadianness.
If you're a capitalist and you're a winner, why wouldn't you do everything in your power to do the best that you could?
This is a very egoist point because, like, you're basically like, sure, I could be like a psycho. I could be a psychopath, and just like, but what if she What if she is also interested in the genetic quality of her children, and she wants to find somebody who actually has like a certain level of credentials, or maybe she wants
What,
to
are
have a
you
certain
saying you
financial
don't have
future?
that? Are you saying you don't have that?
If I lied about it, then I
potentially
hold
have
on,
that?
wait. If I lied
It's
about it,
not
then
a
I would
skill.
be.
You
Then I
didn't
would be
lie.
saying
You
that.
embellished a little bit.
That's
This
the
seems like
same
a skill
thing.
issue.
Yeah, you're fine. What do you mean?
But
You're,
What's the
I think
difference?
that-
What's the
Motorcycle
difference?
was a deception. Just
This
so
kid-
we're clear,
this-
he
this
rides the
Motorcycle is
motorcycle.
deception.
No,
I
no,
do ride a motorcycle.
It isn't.
Yeah, but
he
you-
has the
but it's
motorcycle,
because
he
you have
rides the
such a
motorcycle, he is
beta
a motorcycle
mental
rider.
issues.
No,
Yeah, if I
no,
said
no.
I was a motorcycle rider, but I didn't actually do it in order to
No.
pick up girls, this
But-
would be
but-
deception because
but-
she's looking for a particular kind of guy.
If he just
But
well, the
owns
reason
the
he's a
motorcycle,
motorcycle rider is he
owns
needs
the
to look-
motorcycle.
No,
If
but
he
this
just
is
owned the
deception.
motorcycle and posted it in his Tinder profile, but never rode the motorcycle.
No,
that's
no.
what
What is
that's
deception is he wants to look like he's like an alpha male, like
He is an alpha
dangerous.
male
He's a
technically.
dangerous, edgy guy.
He
He wears the
fulfills-
motorcycle.
he
He's got his
fulfills
leather
qualities.
jacket, but then he's got a phobia of Pennywise the clown. Like that's like that's
Is that,
not,
is that the decision making for
that
alpha
is
males
not-
of being
listen,
afraid
yeah,
of
that- listen,
having
listen,
phobia?
Hold on, World War III is coming, boys and girls. Women are now looking at potential post-apocalyptic warlord status for their men. This is the thing that some of them are factoring in.
You're
and
afraid of Mexicans
and if
coming
he's-
into your
hold-
state.
hold
What are
on,
you
I am
talking
Mexican.
about?
What do you mean? I love Mexicans. But secondly, if he's over here like saying that he's afraid of clowns and people with makeup, he's not going to do too good in the apocalypse. Us, I'm just saying.
Back to it. First of all, I was gonna ask you about the pimples, right? Pimples are not actually a test of genetic fitness, right?
Yes,
Unless
it
you
is.
have maybe like cystic
Potentially.
acne or something like that. But just like regular pimples is just a thing that happens that people have, and
It's also a health concern. It's a minor health concern, but it is like
It's not-
They
it's-
can get
yeah.
affected. They can
Depending
get
how-
infected.
Depending if you're pimple, if you're
It's-
pimple prone, that is something I would want to know.
if you're pimple, so that's what I'm saying. That's why I was trying to say like cystic acne or but yeah, if you break out constantly, maybe that's something, right? But like,
Well,
Well,
what if
so
it's like easy
I
fix?
had it. Well, just to be clear, it can be a medical issue. Like, for example, like right here, I've got a little bit of a scar, and the reason I've got a scar is because I had really bad acne when I
picked
was
them?
in teenager, and one of the pimples like kind of got out of control, and it turned into like a cyst, and it like I was having like a pretty big cyst here, and it was actually like causing issues, and so they had to go in with like a needle. It was pretty horrific, and they had like put a needle in my head and drained it, and then put
Yep.
steroids as well.
I mean, that's where the migraine started.
There's a lot of things that cause migraines, by the way. I mean,
Yeah,
there's-
absolutely. I'm joking.
But
Obviously.
no, I hear you.
It could have
I
been,
hear you.
yeah.
I know that they can be a medical problem, but most often when we're dealing with pimples, right, for the vast majority of the population,
Sure.
it's
sure.
not that, right? So if you just happen to get a pimple on the date with this
Mm-hmm.
very much imaginary Victoria's Secret model, one that's out of her fucking mind, must be a blind date. But anyway, if you happen to have a blind date with this Victoria's Secret model, right, and like that's the day, of course, the pimple decides to show up, and you decide to cover it up. Is that being deceptive when
Yeah, I think so.
most of your like the 90% of your
You
life
don't
won't
actually
have
want
this
the
pimple,
most genetically
right?
superior
This
woman,
isn't
then.
actually a representation like this. The disorder in your face isn't a representation.
No, look,
of
I
your
pop,
children.
I pop zits because they bother me. But in terms of covering it up, no, I wouldn't cover it up because, like, I wouldn't want to start out this relationship with
Wait a minute.
such the
Was it
perfect
just you
woman
popping the
What if it's a
zit?
bad-
on a falsehood. Okay, I wouldn't want to do that.
Band-Aid? If she
What is
pops on it, if you
I
pop
showed up
the
with a
zit-
band-aid on my face, that'd be even worse.
if you pop,
I mean,
the
I'll
zit-
do that.
Hold on. If you pop the zit, right, and she can't tell that you did, right, but you pop the zit, like how does that not hiding it? Like
No,
this
because
was-
again, my motivation is because it bothers, like it physically bothers me. Like I feel the pressure and it bothers me, so I pop it. If she asks me, "Hey, is that a pop zit?" I mean, first of all,
she doesn't
weird
notice.
question.
He says
Wait,
wanting to look your best deceptive? Like,
Well, it depends how you're looking your best.
because you don't look like you dress up to go on a date. You don't look like that. You don't dress like that every day. Is that like being deceptive? Like, oh, I'm showing up in this nice
Well,
outfit.
well,
but I
no,
don't wear
because-
these outfits every day. So
Because
That is
I don't,
part of your
I
wardrobe.
no, I don't think there's any expectation that I naturally like look like I'm wearing a suit. Now, or I also don't think I don't think there's a expectation. And if there is an expectation, I'd clarify this very quickly that I don't wear a suit every single day, right? If
Yeah.
she has this expectation that I'm like this is the kind of thing that I wear all the time, I would want to
Hold on.
correct that
100%
expectation.
in your
Yes, you've seen
suit.
suits in Boston legal, so if you don't wear one, it's deception.
I want to follow this because I did have two questions, and Ghosty was jumping on a second question I was going to ask. So hold on, I do want to finish this up for a second. Like Lactoid, you get a pimple, it's not bothering you. It's in no way physically uncomfortable for you. Zero, right? But it's just before you got to go on a date with, again, blind date must be with Victoria's Secret model. So you're saying in that case, right, for a thing that's not bothering whatsoever, you would show up your one time to get with a, like this is like the one that like you've always loved, right? I don't know. You wouldn't pop that pimple like purely for vanity reasons.
Well, whether I would or wouldn't, it wouldn't change the fact about my opinion of whether or not it's deceptive. Really, the question is like, would I be minimally deceptive in this regard? I don't know. But if I did, it would be potentially somewhat deceptive.
Okay, great. So we can so it is a deception.
But I want to point out though, this is like the level of deception here of like one pimple is like we're dramatically different than a lot of these makeup transformations in which like you intentionally try to look like you're not wearing makeup and you change your entire face. Like it's very extensive in some cases.
I hear spectrum. I understand things are in
spectrum. I posted the spectrum. Yes.
So what's you posted it?
It's in general. It's in Discord. It's in Discord chat. You can
last thing I want to say, and then everyone can jump in, right? So this is sort of like what Ghosty was saying, but talking about clothing, right? So now I don't obviously if you wear a suit, it's not like an implication that this is like a part of your body, right? You know, like an outgrowth of you. Certainly not, right? However, people will say that like you're more attractive when you like wear a suit. Like I've worn suits and go Prime. Oh my god, you're looking handsome, Prime, right?
Hell yeah, dressed to the nines, baby.
But one of the reasons why is because like in a lot of suits, right? At least the ones I've always worn, right? They got those like inserts, right? Those like shoulder pads and all that inserts. Stuff. Yeah, my shoulders look more square than they usually do, and they're pretty square. I'm a very manly man. But just like they're even sharper than usual, right? And they look at that, and I see women look at that like, oh wow, you're looking so handsome. Is that a deception on my part?
Yeah, potentially. In the same way, when Ron DeSantis was accused of wearing shoes that made him look taller,
because he's wearing heels.
If he does,
yeah.
This is also deception.
But hold on,
because height is critical. Height is critical for a lot of women's evaluation of whether you're a potential mate or something. And if you misrepresent your height by wearing particular kinds of shoes, that's a problem.
Is the argument
critical for men if they're going to vote for you too? That him wearing lifts would be a negative outlook for men too, because like, isn't it something like taller men are more likely to get raises or some shit like that?
Why would that just be smart business? I don't understand like what the issue is with this. Other than the fact he's actually okay, I get that he's a lizard person and he's not really a human, and that's why he was actually wearing.
But he got caught. That's the problem with the lifts, brother.
Is it deception if you're open about it? Like you wear makeup and you're like, "Hey guys, this is makeup," or if you're wearing a suit, you're like, "Hey guys, this is a suit." And
the deception bullet. You're gonna have to bite left and right, Lactoid, on like almost every action that you do.
For example, let's say I did have
a conversation. That's what it is. It's
you gave him a fucking turret.
Let's say no. I'm willing to accept. Hold on. I want to address this. I'm willing to accept that, like, yes, there are many things in society that we engage in that are deceptive. Okay,
yeah.
But what I'm saying is that, like, in this particular instance, makeup, not only is it deceptive, but it's also expensive and it appears wholly unnecessary, and it's driven by corporate overlords that are specifically trying to like dictate this deception in order to increase their bottom line. And it's not the same kind of.
Do you hate people that own stocks in these companies?
It's so much easier to tackle.
I own stocks in Evil Inc. Why should we denigrate Evil Inc? I want to make money.
Just because they're on the cutting edge of fashion doesn't make you. Just because you're lagging
behind. Yeah, they're on the cutting edge of fascism, maybe.
No, fake news. You know what's fascist? Your socialist policies of wanting to stop these corporations from giving the people what they clearly want because they're
investing and the industry's growing.
He's over.
I want to poop on the corporations, which is my First Amendment right. Okay, I'm not saying take away their money. I'm saying
yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that.
You are advocating all.
No, I am saying that like while what they're doing, the makeup corporations, while what they're doing should probably be legal. Okay, there are problematic ways in which people, especially women, use makeup. If you think that like
How
certain
do you feel about
practices that
moisturizer?
Hold up, Lactoid, leftist Gibbs. Why do you want to feminize men?
I'm
Wait,
not
wait.
trying to finish.
You're trying to feminize men.
I've
You
just
want.
proven that I am more alpha and
Yeah.
like Jin, like the.
I never said that you weren't alpha. I said, yeah, you want to feminize other men to appear more alpha.
I want men to be
And
so
so you push
confident.
makeup on the men.
No, I want men to be so confident.
Yeah.
That it doesn't matter what they're wearing, or what doesn't matter what the social norms, that they are embracing positive masculinity and leading with their nuts hanging low and not having this fear of clowns. And
It's a
shit
beautiful
like that.
grip.
Like
the grift of the left.
Imagine
the
if
grift
like
of the
Russia
left.
invades and they just paint up like clowns. People are gonna Lacto's gonna throw his guns down in fear of Putin if he comes in with like
Gibbs,
clowns.
no, this is, I think it's actually like a underlying like part of like what Ayla said or whatever that I posted, right? Like there is like a deceptive element, and when you link deception with sex, which often is the case when it comes to makeup, I think this is part of rape culture, and I think there's a problem.
Yeah,
Seriously,
that's
like
cool.
on a first date, do you expect her to show, like, do you expect a woman to show up like completely without makeup in a normal outfit that she would wear? Like,
I would
like,
hope so. I would hope so.
I
mean,
I would hope so.
Expect her to like try
Y'all
to
are
look
lying
like
about
a
No,
little
but
nice.
No,
my-
I'm lying.
I'm not a liar. I'm not a liar. And also on top of that, the first time I ever have sex with somebody, I insist that all the lights are on so I can see what I'm getting myself into.
All right, Patrick Bateman.
I think
Calm down.
I see
Yeah,
what
that
you did
is
there.
crazy.
Ghost.
You know, you're in trust with the lights off. You don't know what's down there. You don't know what's going on.
Exactly. That's why you probably rather the lights off. So you go, ooh, surprise, time to go.
Hey, I got some things to teach you, bro. If you don't know what's going on down there, Lactoid, like there's a few.
There's
a
visual
books you can read.
I think
there could be various colors going on that you don't know about. There could be various things. Like you got to be careful out there.
I think
if you know like 5 women, I'm sure you can.
What's going on with your pee?
I think the best practice for dating, right? I think the best practices in dating is to try to waste as least time and money as possible. Meaning that if you're gonna reject somebody because of how they naturally look, barefaced later on because they're way too good at makeup, and your first impression with their makeup is great, and you were hoping that with their makeup off they looked at somewhat very similar, but then it turns out that they weren't. I would imagine that the best thing for you to do is to try to get a barefaced first date, so that way the second you don't have to waste time and money on the second date to find that out.
True. Thank you. This is a good point, right?
Yeah,
and
does that mean you have no dates? Because how many dates are you getting where the girl's coming barefaced?
Wait. The ideal can be rare. The ideal can be rare.
So
the effort. They put it on
the ideal can also be not reality, right? Like,
I'm trying to normalize the ideal right now on this panel.
But you're coming at it from you're coming at it from the Corey perspective, which I have always disagreed with that.
Corey's usually a very smart guy. I take that as a compliment. I take that as a compliment.
Smarter. But this idea that the expectations that we have out of the looks of people, like it should be abolished, makes literally no sense. And
it makes lots of sense.
No,
it
makes no sense.
Well, so you can care about the looks of people, right? I got no problem with that.
The idea that you think that everyone the idea that you even believe that women shouldn't be wearing makeup and that you think it's deception, I think it's complete bullshit.
Okay, can I address that, please? Going back to, I guess, this something being normalized. So as right now, okay, from what I understand in terms of the stats, okay, essentially the normal when it comes to the overall health status of the typical American is they're overweight or obese. Do you think that's optimal? Do you think that we should move more in that direction? Everyone now should be overweight and obese. Do you think that's the direction that we should go towards?
Good point, Corey.
Wait, no. Just because something's normalized, I don't think just because something's normalized is good. I think that
yes. Thank you for repeating my words. Thank you.
Well, but Corey, I think you're missing a step here because the step is you're determining whether or not something is deceptive, and if it's something that's normal expectation, all that means is that takes the deception out of it. It means that everybody can assume that you're wearing makeup when they see you, and therefore it's not deceptive. It doesn't mean that it's.
There are things there.
I just to put a cap on my point. That's why I tried to make it clear of I don't want to live in the world of like we're all in on the deception, and therefore that makes it okay.
Corey,
But there's also
I think
a
this is
world where
skill
like
issue.
normal
I
things that
really
are
do think this is a skill issue because when I look at a woman with makeup, I can tell she has makeup. I'm not being deceived because
Skill
I
issue,
know
that's
she
right.
has makeup. Right, that's one. So I have the skill. So that's why I think it's a skill issue.
Thank you.
If you
Thank you,
can't, if you can't really if you see a woman that has, unless she's like natural, there is there is a makeup look where it's like natural makeup, very light makeup. Where in that case,
you can still
then
tell.
the makeup, yeah, in that case, the makeup doesn't really matter since it looks just like she would without makeup because it's such a light natural makeup
you
look.
can always
Anyway,
tell.
No.
so but besides that, I'm not being deceived by somebody that wears makeup because I can almost always tell that she wears makeup too, and furthermore, just because I am being deceived that someone's wearing makeup, if because I'm already aware that they're wearing makeup, and two, before taking it further to the next step, I'm gonna ask to see her without makeup. For example, I take the same issue. I personally have this problem with weaves, right? Weaves or wigs, especially dating in the Black community. This happens a lot, and so I always try to ask. Sometimes it's months before I see somebody's natural hair. So I'm like, hey, before we ever take it, marriage is. Before I can propose to you, I have to see your natural hair. I have to feel it. I have to know what it's like, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel, but
That's
makeup is a little less than that. But so I would still prefer to see somebody's bare face before wanting to make her my girlfriend.
But I'm gonna go to Gibbs, and Gibbs is involved in this too, right? But we had an example of this, right? This idea that like men can tell. And react appropriately when they're wearing makeup. We had an example of this in the national news. We saw it right here on this stream where individuals like Gibbs, like Ali, right, couldn't tell that Erin Moriarty, right, the woman who plays Starlight in The Boys, that she had makeup on a photo, right? There was that moment where
she looks
keep going with this.
When Megyn Kelly, right, she like called out Erin Moriarty, thinking like she had extensive plastic surgery, right?
She was right.
Unrecognizable.
She's correct.
She wasn't. She
looks
was.
totally different.
You both were wrong.
Have you seen any pictures of her?
Have you seen the show? She looks totally different in the show.
You both were wrong,
No,
right?
not
wrong.
I'm correct on that one.
Wait a second. You both were wrong about that picture, right? Now, in that conversation, I admit that I think, like, especially for her nose, like, I think there was some work done on her nose, like, but.
Wait, I didn't say she wasn't wearing makeup in the picture.
No. But the results of the makeup you thought were natural, right? You thought you could tell that she was wearing makeup, but like the fact that like her cheekbones had been enhanced, right, by the makeup, by contouring, you couldn't tell. And I
said it was.
I'm saying she got those physical
surgery. She got surgery. Is what we're saying.
Let's not rewrite history. Like I told you guys, like on stream, like, hey, you're wrong about this. That she isn't like vastly different. That like the thing that you were reacting to in that photo was simple contouring. Is a thing that women do. But like you guys, like, oh no, her face is bad. No, it isn't.
Wait, were we wrong? Did she get plastic surgery or did she not get plastic surgery? That's what we were arguing, is that she got plastic surgery.
Yeah, that's what I said, right? That's what I think the position was.
He wasn't saying it was just a nose job. No.
It was her cheeks that she got raised,
and
her
jaw. And the cheeks, the reason why you were saying
she looks like an alien now.
No, she still looks like that Prime.
Just contouring.
She still looks like that Prime.
Oh my god,
she looks totally different the new season.
She looks like a different person.
It's possible that she could have lost weight, no?
But nah, bro, nah.
No, she looks like an alien now. She looks like the Weeknd in that video.
All the time, like, so you guys are just like, talking about like minimalistic makeup that exists, and even if it is minimalistic, it doesn't mean that like it's not changing the face. So I want to push that aside, right? Like like that natural look. See, it fools you into making it seem like there's barely any there, but there could be actually quite a bit there, and it's changing the face quite a bit. So even then, we're talking about minimalist makeup.
I get
that doesn't necessarily.
And there's a skill issue that you don't know.
It's not. Hold on. I'm saying you're saying that you're up at this level of skill, and I'm saying I've seen examples of you failing that skill level. Like,
you haven't proven that
right
because
here,
even if she
you
contoured, my argument is still
failed-
that she did
you
plastic surgery
failed-
to get
you
those
I think that's
features.
been my
failed
argument.
it,
She looks totally different.
and I think again, like you're so confident in your ability to say, oh, this person is either wearing no makeup or minimalistic makeup, and I'm truly seeing her face. I'm saying that it's a false confidence. I'm saying that you've gone through life, you've seen women, and you're like, either she's not wearing any makeup or she's wearing no makeup, and I'm getting a good picture in your face, and you were wrong because you have this false confidence.
Brother, I don't.
Let me
I
make this
wasn't
claim.
wrong
I
though.
wanna make a
wanna-
statement here.
So
Wait
you
a
said
second.
it's a skill issue. I'm saying
I wasn't
like,
wrong though.
you're-
I think you're judging a fish. You're judging a fish on its ability not to be able to fly. I wasn't
address-
wrong
Ali,
there.
Ali, let me make a claim. I think we all can agree to.
It's Gibson.
Gibbsy.
Gibson's been waiting.
Sure, I'll go
Yeah,
after Gibbs.
so actually, you know what? Even if I was wrong, and I wasn't, I don't think I'd say. I definitely said I think it's the prime, the surgery. But even if I was wrong, let me just say this, and it's a skill issue. Like Ali said, I agree it is a skill issue. That's something I said in my opening. Guess what? If I got bamboozled by them, more power to them. They got me. They bamboozled me. They got me good. Like, hey, whatever. I've said this before.
Yeah, I'll
like,
eat
no
it.
hate. Like,
I
yeah,
don't
I'll
believe
eat
that's
it. You
what
know,
happened.
guess what? They bamboozled me so good. I didn't even care that I got bamboozled. Right? You know, it was a good time. Whatever. So, like, let's just get that bullshit out of the way. That's a misnomer. Secondly, the makeup versus no makeup thing about this date, right? Showing up like Lactoid said with no makeup, or someone else said with the no makeup. What I don't think to realize it is that this actually can show an indication here. Like, this is like cultural clues. If she shows up to a date I'm on and she's not wearing makeup, I'm probably going to think, wow, this girl didn't want to put any time into this date.
Yep.
She didn't find
No
me as an
effort.
actual thing. She's not really serious.
me.
She maybe just wants to go
dumb
fuck.
conclusion.
Like, this is gonna be a quick fuck. I mean, hold on. This is one.
What's
What's
the
she gonna
cultural
think if you hold on? What's
expectation?
she gonna think
Yo.
if you show up wearing makeup?
Hold on. It also is like
Based in
it also
true
depends
lactoid.
now. There are various scenarios. This like if I went out with like a country rough and tumble tomboy girl, I probably wouldn't expect it. But if I like go out with like an Instagram model chick and she shows up not wearing makeup,
Or the
I'm either gonna
average
be
girl.
What if you show up like this? What if you show up like this? What's she gonna think?
It doesn't matter because I'm gonna woo her with my
Nah, she
wonderful
thinks you're a
charisma
weirdo.
personality. She might start with that, but it's gonna be a mountain I'm gonna have to overcome. And guess what? Papa Gibbs loves to climb mountains. So we're gonna be fine. Secondly,
You might be able to go on a date with like a
yourself.
super left wing woman.
Well,
Okay,
hold
but
on.
nobody else.
That's the type of woman I might. Listen, you got to play to your audience. Secondly, this is another big thing, right? So, like I said, there's all situations, all scenarios, but like it's going to indicate to me that she might not be interested. But what if you're not factoring in? She took all this time. She got her best makeup out. She made sure she looked nice. It shows the effort and how serious she takes this date by trying to make sure she puts her best foot forward. That's something you should factor in as well. Like all the makeup and amount of makeup can all indicate different things. It's called social cues, and it's all situational. So for you to sit here and be like, I prefer him with no makeup, that's a lie. That's bullshit.
I do think I do
If I
think
take
it
a girl
depends
out
on a
to a fancy
context. Right?
restaurant, if I take
Yeah,
a girl out,
contextual.
I ask a girl out to a fancy restaurant, and then I pull up to the restaurant, and it's a nice restaurant. I'm wearing decent clothes, maybe pants, a sweater, whatever it may be, and she pulls up in sweatpants and a hoodie and just her hair in a bun. Do you see that as
I don't think that's analogous. I don't.
It is exactly analogous.
No, I've had this literally happen to me.
I know,
Yeah,
but
this
I'm
literally
saying-
happened
it's
to me.
exactly analogous.
It's not
But let
only
me tell you
analogous,
why
it's something
I
that's happened. So
I don't think you understand why I think that's not analogous. The reason why is because I think it's just a caliber of women that maybe you guys don't have access to, and this
That's
this
right.
how-
Tell them.
and the caliber
What are
of
you
women that I'm
talking
talking about is women that are so amazingly gorgeous naturally that people think and assume that she's wearing makeup. And so this type of woman doesn't need to wear makeup at all at any point in time. And this is the type of woman that I prefer.
That's amazing. So, anyways, the
flex.
date, the nice
Flex,
steakhouse,
man.
whatever it may be, you wouldn't see that as like disrespectful. She just like didn't dress up and match the
No,
like
but
level.
that's the
I'm
thing.
talking to Corey, brother. I'm asking him a
Oh,
question because he thinks the normal like look is like fine for the first date. I think there's a level to the date. I think like once again, I don't think a girl should be wearing like a fucking full face of makeup and she's going to the movies or to play mini golf. Right, but like I think there's levels to things, and I think that there's a way to present yourself that is a positive. That's like the norm that I think is good is that there are positive like representations of yourself, and so like
if you want to finish your point, go for it.
yeah. So I mean like so steakhouse, you're dressed up to the nines. She's not dressed. She's just wearing like a normal everyday outfit, no makeup. That's fine.
Yeah, that's totally like if anything, I lean more towards of like an actual representation of like your everyday life. Like I generally don't really dress up all that. Like I wear athletic wear like 24/7. Like that's because that's a reflection of
Yeah.
who I am. I'm either like in athletic wear or like in a cat t-shirt because that's a reflection of my limited personality. And so if you can't deal
Fair.
with that, then too bad for you. Like I'm not looking to put on a show, okay? Because if you're then you're more or less you might, okay, it might be a bad heuristic, but you might be putting up a front or setting the expectation of like you're gonna have steak dinners like on a regular basis or whatnot.
That's what you
I think
want.
that, no, wait. I think the idea is
People
that for a first date,
understand.
the guy is meant to provide an atmosphere, whether it be a fun atmosphere, whether it be, but the idea is that the guy comes and he prepares a date, whether it may be, so however it may be. I was kind of more arguing it's like the level of date. So if I'm asking a girl to go to like the trampoline park, obviously I'd want her to be like wearing sweatpants. But if I'm asking a girl to like a dinner, I would want her to be dressed up a little bit more and like maybe some makeup, maybe something nice. I think it depends. So like if you're someone who's asking a girl to go rock climbing, well then I mean yeah, come wearing your sweats. But
I think it's bad practice to go on like an expensive or
Well,
fancy date
even
for the
then,
first date.
I can respond. Like, sure, there's something to be dressing for the occasion, like, yeah, like, and being somewhat socially appropriate
Yeah.
to a certain extent.
so a first
But
date is an occasion where you kind of want to
I,
impress.
no,
a little
I'm
bit.
not. But I generally, even if they like whatever, not that I would ever invite anybody to a steak dinner, but using your example, okay, of like whatever, a fancy restaurant, okay, where there's a societal expectation of how you dress. And they don't fulfill that societal expectation. Would I hold that against them? No, probably not. I'd be curious about why they're behaving against social norms. That might pique my curiosity even more. Where again, to Gibbs's point that I believe he made earlier of like the woman wearing makeup. Okay, that's a sign of effort. Okay,
Yeah.
and I would say that's a bad heuristic. Okay, just as a bad heuristic
It's
of
not
like
every time. It's
well,
situational.
yeah, just as you should not judge, okay, someone who's overweight or obese, as in like that means that they are lazy. That means that they'll be low effort in a relationship because whatever, they're just lazy overall. That's a bad heuristic. Okay, even though I can make that argument, strongly of like I literally burn more energy than you, Admiral Gibbs, on a day-to-day basis. Okay, is that a reflection of me and my effort in a relationship? No, probably not. Okay, and that's a bad heuristic.
It's a great
I want to
heuristic.
argue too, though, like at being a woman, I'm not like the most like girly girl, whatever, like get up person ever, but like I do like to use fashion and jewelry and like cute outfits and stuff just as a way to express myself, and it also like shows like what kind of person I am. Like you have like different styles of women, and can just be like an extension of you, like what kind of like outfit you wear and stuff like that. So it's not necessarily always just like this like deceptive like, oh, I'm trying to like look
Representative.
to be this person that I'm not, but it's just like, yeah, you're putting your best foot forward. It's like going to a job interview or something, but like it's like a different.
Which are all contrived
Well,
and
but-
fake and they're bad
yeah,
processes.
Yeah, go Steve.
Like-
But like then let's say like your style is I don't know, like grunge. I don't pretend. I don't but like
Yeah.
let's
Going
just
back
say
to
that's
the
your
90s, Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
That's
there's
your
cute
style.
ways to look grungy. Yeah, there's
Well,
like,
wait,
grunge
And that's hold
outfits,
on.
sure.
And that's how you express yourself, okay? Right? But then you go on a date and you're like, oh, I'm gonna wear like a fancy dress for the date. In that case, would you be deceptive? Because this isn't your normal self, isn't it? Like you're all of a sudden you're giving sophistication, right? When that's not usually
Ways-
you.
I mean, there's still ways, like there's still like a nice style of dress that, and like maybe you wear a black dress and then maybe you wear certain jewelry that has like a certain style to it or something. And then obviously just like you're talking to that person and like telling them
Yeah.
who you are. So, but yeah, I think there's still ways to.
I only think it's
I guess
deception
there
if
could be
if
some
you're
exceptions,
hiding it.
but-
If you're hiding it, it's deception.
Yeah, but I guess in a second. But but we all know first dates people put their best foot forward. So let's like get past the parents, right? Like you are presenting yourself in like the best possible light. Like not I'm not gonna lie like Latroy was saying about like lying like your job to get a go into bed, right? But hey, like Latroy's a lawyer, right? And he's like yeah, I mean I'm part of a law firm. And I'm junior partner, right? And there are, and like he has a position but maybe like junior partner stretching it, right? But what he means is
So he
he's
just
very
lies?
close to
I mean,
the-
that's a
he's-
straight up
no,
lie.
no. He's just like
That's called a lie.
It's not a
I
not a
think, like-
lie. It's not a lie.
I think
not
something
junior
more-
Is he junior partner or not?
I think something more
Yeah,
close
Man,
is
junior
like
he is
partner.
junior to the partner, right?
I think something more
The
close would be
assistant,
like-
literally the
He's
the
partner
office,
junior.
right?
Yeah.
He's
Like
partner
the
junior.
assistant to the manager, not the assistant manager.
Yeah.
I think if there's
Exactly.
like
So he's
a broke-
equivocating.
if there's like a broke
He's
guy and
equivocating.
he's like he has no money and he's really broke, and then he shows up in like a really nice car or something, and then I don't know, like maybe it actually is his car, but he's trying to present this look like he has money when he actually doesn't. I think that would be more like
What?
equivalent.
Okay,
than
well, if he
actually
rented
straight
it,
up
so if he
lying.
rented it, it would be a lie. Is the guy not allowed to bring a rented car?
If he
Right?
hides
Yeah,
it,
if you
I
rent a
think-
Lambo in Miami
he-
for the weekend, yeah.
Or
you're
even if he
faking
buys
it.
the car, but he can't really afford it.
But I
he's
think
trying to
hiding it
present
is what's
himself.
I think hiding it is the key factor. Let's say he does all those things where it's temporary. If he is upfront about it, it's like, hey, I rented out this this Lamborghini for Miami this weekend, and I thought it would be nice, even though like typically I can't really drive this car, but I just got it out for the weekend because I thought it would be
Yeah.
cool and nice. I think being upfront
That's
about the
flex.
temporary things,
Yeah.
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 So I don't. So there, when you being upfront about the things that you're hide or like you're not showing immediately, right? For example, like I've had a girl not be interested in me because I do like Twitch debates, right? And that's
That's a good reason.
but right and because of the yelling that I do, and I was telling her like this is not me when I'm talking. She got afraid. She's like, oh, I don't
You
like
started
when
baiting her right there.
It's
so
your
like
representation.
she was trying to say like, oh, I'm afraid that you might yell at me. I'm like, no. This I'm doing this for entertainment. So like it would be like if you didn't want to date me if I was an actor. Like this is almost acting. But she was like, oh. So what I'm trying to say is it's not something if I never shown her this side, that would be me being deceptive. But if she asked about my hobbies, I'm like, oh, I'm like making an effort not to tell her about this. That would be me. But I showed her like willingly. It was like, hey, this is what I do sometimes, right? And even though it's not a representation of me, this is not who I am all the time. It is something that I do sometimes. For example, and so Ghosty, dream dressed to the
Are you
nines.
saying we don't get the real dream on these panels? Like you're
Yeah, I think it's hard to be your real self when it's when you're trying to talk to like 9 people at a time. It's really hard.
He also goes by Dream, so there's a little bit of like, obviously, right?
In brackets, male, just so you know.
But I don't think anybody here really thinks that his name is that, right? But like again, like what's the purpose of the like?
I mean, I honestly think display names
deception
are
requires
deception.
intent, right? Deception
but-
requires intent.
And also say male, so that's also deceptive. Anyways, when it comes to Ghosty,
Wait, what is that?
that was a joke. That was a joke, Alex.
Ah.
When it comes to I just kidding. When it comes to Ghosty being dressed to the 9, or any woman or any man putting their best foot forward, I don't think that's deception because you're being honest. You're saying, hey, this is actually what I do. This is the effort that I take up on certain types of occasions, such as first dates, special occasions. I do dress to the 9. That is actually you not being deceptive. That is you being honest in terms of what your actions and behaviors being when it comes to this situation. Now, if you're trying to deceive the person by saying, actually, this is just who I am all the time, then it becomes deception. But if you're just saying, hey, this is just what I've dressed up during this occasion, that's not deception.
You guys think that it's deception? I heard about this actually, and I thought it was scummy, and I would never do it. I think it's deception. But I among some right-wing male communities, they would lie about voting for Trump, and they would lie about being conservatives in order to have sex with like left-wing women. Are you guys okay with that?
I am not okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, why aren't they just putting their best foot forward? Right?
Say that
She
again, Lactoid?
She wants a left-leaning person, right? He's putting his best foot forward, isn't he?
Wait, say that again,
He's just
Lactoid. I'm
a bit-
sorry.
he's just
So there
pushing the
are some
version
men
of
there are some men that
Best
will like.
version of yourself though, because that's not a version of yourself.
Well, no, the
Yeah,
best
so what do
version
you
of the best version of. Let's assume that I'm one of these people. Never would be, but let's just assume the best version of myself for this woman, because the best version is going to be dependent on the environment that you're going into. The best version of myself is I'm going to be talking up every left wing belief I have and every right wing belief that I get questioned on. I'm going to divert. I'm going to like deflect.
But
she's gonna ask me about BLM, and I'm gonna say, oh, the Bureau of Land Management. Yeah, that's a very interesting organization. Yeah.
Private thing. Isn't voting a private thing? They'll never actually know what you vote for. You could say all these things and then still go and vote Trump. Like, so like,
you're right. She wouldn't know. I could just misrepresent and like twist. I could do it. I could do it.
Your life. What's the problem?
Maybe
you're genuinely happy with this woman, and her happiness is enough, like that you do these things even though they go against what you personally believe, but you still overcorrect against that by voting.
That is so pathetic.
Live in that world.
What if you change?
If you vote, if you like, that's you can't do that.
But
absolutely,
you're compromising your beliefs.
I think
absolutely you could do that. No, that's
Dream.
Sure, you could compromise your beliefs for women, I guess, but I would never do it.
Dream.
But
come on, then. Don't lie. You just said you wanted the most genetically best woman ever. That means you're probably gonna have to compromise.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna compromise like core beliefs that I hold. I mean, I'm sure I might compromise. Like, I might have to like pick up my laundry off the floor.
Like Aphrodite, came down. The god of beauty came down and was like, "Listen, I need you to betray one of these beliefs." And you're gonna tell me you're gonna tell Aphrodite?
You can vote for Kamala.
She's gonna be like, yes.
Aphrodite.
She's getting the middle finger. She's getting the middle finger, and
I
she
will
can go.
offer use my God powers to help you succeed in the world. Everything you ever can want.
If we're talking about money, now it's a little bit different. But if we're talking about women, they're a different consideration.
Or a billionaire, anything equivalent. Like, come on.
Hold on, Dream.
$1 billion. You know how much money I could donate to anti-left-wing causes if I had $1 billion? It'd be worth it. It'd be worth it in the long run.
You did it to get there. See?
Hey, Dream. Hold on, Dream. You want to say something?
You're okay with it?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out to Lactoid. I think I've laid it out pretty clear in my definition about what would deception be in these cases of dating. Would be like if you're intentionally trying to hide it, and so you saying that you're going to deflect me is like falls under the definition of what I said in terms of being deceptive.
But makeup is intentionally trying to hide certain facial features. Like you're hiding it. You're literally blocking the vision. You're
enhancing the features.
Yeah. No, you're blocking it. Hold on. Makeup is opaque. You can't look through makeup. You're literally hiding certain things.
Oh, so it is war paint.
But what I'm talking about is you can wear makeup. You can wear makeup and be upfront about wearing makeup. And being upfront about wearing makeup isn't deceptive, because the deception would be you trying to say that this is actually how you look. But
you can do it non-deceptively. If I've said this multiple times, if you're a woman who prefers makeup on, as long as you keep a picture of what you look like without makeup and you show him on the first date, you're golden.
Right. Exactly. So, but I was referring to your recent point about like deflecting your right points or your conservative beliefs. When somebody mentions BLM, you're talking about the Bureau or whatever, and I'm saying that would fall under deception under the definition I laid out. It seems like.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. It wouldn't. Maybe it would. I'm your definition. Okay, so if you directly
trying to like.
Yeah, but here's the problem. I think makeup is you intentionally trying to hide certain facial features, right? And then Ali could say, no, you're just trying to accentuate other features. But I can deceive. It's very easy. I can deceive by accentuating certain beliefs that I have while neglecting other beliefs. And I can give somebody an entirely wrong idea of what I actually believe. For example, like, I know a woman is really only want to ever date left-wing men and like doesn't want anything to do with right-wing men, okay? Or like any kind of right-wing belief, okay?
Sure.
Like, I'm going to do everything in my power to like, if I was a deceptive asshole, which I'm not, I would like intentionally like twist every right-wing belief that I hold to be, mundane, like maybe actually a little bit left-wing. Like,
but
it's very
like
vague.
You agree with me though, like, because I'm saying if you do that intentionally and without being upfront about what you're doing. So like, sure.
Right, but this is makeup
but I'm saying makeup intention. You can wear makeup with the intention to enhance your beauty and to hide blemishes, whatever. But then if you meet somebody
to hide,
and I'm saying you can hide without hiding in like the different definitions of that word, meaning that you can hide your blemishes using makeup, but not hide that you're wearing makeup, right? By meeting up with somebody and be like, hey, by the way, I'm wearing makeup because I was just hiding. You're being upfront about why you're wearing makeup, why you're using it. So that's compare that to somebody like hiding their actual beliefs by obfuscating like the questions that you're asking.
Sure. If you're upfront about it, but the problem is My understanding of contouring and makeup generally is you're trying to do it to make it look like you're not wearing it. Am I wrong on that? That
Yeah,
appears to be the goal.
You're
Just
correct.
like if I'm explaining my
Sure.
political beliefs to a woman and I know that political beliefs are important to her, I can explain my political beliefs. I could do this in a way that like misrepresents, not directly lying. I don't have to directly lie. That's not what I have to do.
I'm not
I
saying
can,
that
I can say nothing but true
I'm
things
not saying
and
directly
give a
lying.
woman an entirely wrong
Right, but
understanding of
I'm
my
not-
positions on
I'm
everything.
not using
so
direct
that's not
lies.
deception then. They're
But
all true
direct
things.
lying is not in my definition, right? My definition, which it seems like no one's really having a contest against, is that you're intentionally misrepresenting or intentionally like obfuscating or like whatever you're doing, as long as it's intentional and you're not being upfront about what you're doing. So like the contouring situation is like, sure, I can agree that it's deception up until the point that you can have a conversation with somebody that you're doing it. Or if like, let's say you have a makeup page, like let's say you're a makeup artist and this is what you do in general. I don't think it's deception to say, hey, motherfucker, I'm a makeup artist and this is my art. And look at all these examples. And then like in the bio of my makeup art page, it says, nigga, I'm a makeup artist and all of this shit is art.
Which is
I don't
like
think that's
the
deception.
norm and the expectation that's saying that you're going in and you're assuming that most girls wear makeup, so there's no real deception to it.
Yeah.
I think
Unless she
okay.
says she's not wearing makeup and she is.
Yeah,
Like,
She's not lying.
No, that's not enough, right? Because I
It's not
think that
enough.
no, not just simply saying I'm wearing makeup, because with makeup it becomes difficult because unlike what's in your brain, which is you could like entirely discoverable through explanation, like your face is not discoverable necessarily through explanation. It's discovered through visualization. I think
Right,
that
and
when
I'm
you
saying if
hold on,
they're
hold on,
unable
I
to show
think
their
let me
face,
finish,
it's
let me
deception.
finish.
well, no. When you present your face, I think that the human face is a statement in of itself, and it's a very complicated statement. Your face is what we use to identify you. Your face, and this is why, by the way, like people who have burns to their face, it is so dramatically disruptive to their life because your face is how people identify you. And so when you present your face to the world, you are telling the world who you are. And when you alter who you are, when you alter that communication that you're always presenting to everybody else around you, when you alter that, you got to be very transparent with how you're altering that. Otherwise, you're potentially being deceptive, depending on
But
what
that's what I'm saying.
what your intent is. And so, if you are the problem with what you're saying is and correct me if I'm wrong. If you go up at somebody and you say, "Oh, I'm wearing makeup," I think this could still be deceptive because it's not clear how much makeup you're wearing. It's not clear what you actually look like without makeup. Yeah, you could go into enough detail, I guess. No, you could
You're
go.
wrong, right? I'm correct. I'm trying to correct you right now.
Fair enough. Go ahead.
Right. So I'm not trying to say that saying that you have makeup is enough, right? It depends on the context. It depends on how you're right. What I think that you are being deceptive if one pressed or one asked to show what you look like without makeup, that you're hiding it. So like in any sense of the word, because some niggas may not care if you wear makeup, right?
Most don't.
Right? Like let's like, so you're not necessarily being deceptive to somebody that doesn't care about being deceived, or if you are, it's negligible to that person that accepts deception. Like some people. So, but to the person that does care about being deceived, and he asks questions about the deception, you hiding the fact that you're deceiving or not being upfront or as accurate as you can be with the explanation of your deception. That's
but I don't think that I don't know if there is a sufficient explanation, right? How do you describe? In what words do you like? Describe to me
the
just
picture.
using words.
It's not
Hold on.
explanation. May not be just with words.
Let's imagine. Yeah, the picture. I agree. Well, that was what I presented. So, are we clear then? That it would have to be a picture, not an actual word-based explanation.
Right,
okay,
and I'm
fair.
Right. Lacto. What I'm trying to say is, when somebody is refusing to show you, so like for example, I wouldn't expect somebody that I'm dating right now to show me a picture necessarily, especially when they haven't taken a bunch. Let's just say, imagine a woman that hasn't really taken a bunch of pictures where their natural hair is showing. I would just accept a promise that eventually, before we take anything very seriously, that they would show me their natural hair. I think somebody that's at least willing to promise me that is not somebody that I would deem as a deceptive person. Sure, I may be like temporarily deceived right now in the moment up until that point, but because they're so willing to be like so upfront, like, yeah, I have no problem showing you my natural hair. I'm just wearing a protective style right now, and I haven't really taken pictures before of my hair. But when my protective style is done, and I'm willing, I have no problem. Like that, to me, that's not somebody that I would deem deceptive. But let's say that this another example is this same type of person. I'm like, hey, can I see your natural hair? Like, no, I don't want to show you ever again, or I don't want to show you my natural hair ever in my life. You're just gonna have to accept what you see right now with the wig I'm wearing. That to me is more is deceptive, way more than the other person that's willing to show their natural hair.
And then we need to move on to our next topic. But
yeah, so I kind of wanted to talk about one thing here that we actually kind of got away from in the opening, which is the self-expression aspect of this. Using it. Women have been hooking up with guys with eyeliner for decades. It's been a thing. Green Day guys have a little eyeliner, and these guys aren't doing it to like deceive chicks or any of this other bullshit. They're doing it for fashion choice, right? We never really got into artistic this kind of aspect. Artistic expression, fashion choice. Like, what's the whole part of being like an emo or a goth? Like, I remember they would wear the trip pants. They'd have the eyeshadow. These are men, and like some of these are pretty like manly dudes. Like, I have a friend named Poses. He was like an all-state like football player, swole dude, walked around wearing eyeshadow all day and wore trip pants and like a Slipknot shirt, right? Like, so like, walking around, like that was his stylistic choice. He did it for style. He didn't do it to get girls. Now, it had the effect of drawing a lot of women, towards him. And I know some other men that did the same thing, but it wasn't to get the, and so like this idea that like men don't do it for the fashion choice as much as women do is kind of bullshit. We didn't really address that. And I think it's a missed opportunity here because there's nothing wrong with the fashion choices because we should be, as advocates of freedom of speech, freedom of, fashion is a major part of that.
Yeah, my only argument is that that's a uniform that they're fitting. So, like, for a Green Day, in order to look punk, in order to be punk, it would be the like exaggerated hair, the eyeliner specifically is to make you look a specific way. But then also there's the difference between having the like rugged, messy look, like you're meant to look dirty, also in a sense for like grunge and whatever it may be. You're meant to look dark and dirty.
There's different style. There's like emo, there's goth, there's like grunge, like there's all sorts of different styles.
Yeah, and there's a difference between an emo guy and an emo girl, and that's what I'm saying is that like the makeup, there's a difference between like the style that you're fitting in emo isn't meant to be presented for everyone. It's a specific style you're fitting into. We're talking about makeup as a norm for the general.
But it is the norm. Are you saying that like these things aren't like such a big part of society that they are a norm, like almost?
No, I think they're a big part of uniform. So like actors wearing makeup, I wouldn't say is like the norm for like men to just wear makeup. And I think the prescription of men wearing makeup is a negative prescription because we still live in a world with the norms and the girls are playing by the norms too. And I think that's where the negative comes in for men wearing makeup. This is the biggest issue
I have with your take. So now I've got the differentiation between you and Lactoid. This is the big issue I have with your take, right? Your issue is that the societal norm right now is men not wearing makeup. My argument has been that norms change. Makeup's coming and going. And your argument is, I don't want my kids to have to wear makeup because of this societal norm. That's something you find weird, right? My argument is, I don't give a shit what the societal norm is. I want my child to be the biggest Giga Chad, period. And if that's got to wear makeup because that's a societal norm, then guess what? He's going to be the man and he's going to be a positive masculinity because my positive masculinity isn't defined by something as minuscule as, oh God, the makeup is going to scare my little boys. No, I want them to be the biggest alpha males, whether they got makeup.
All right, so then
society changes. So like it's not a moving goalpost because this we're moving more and more towards a world where the younger generations seem to be more acceptant of like non-binary or claiming is non-binary, and that seems to be the Giga Chad alpha. So if your kid was also with the societal norm of being why more kids you get mass attention, a lot of kids, it's becoming more and more open. The kids are claiming non-binary. Right, and this seems to be becoming the norm with a little bit of a trend with younger generations. What was the deal back in the 1800s with the British having powdered makeup, or like any of the other times in history where makeup was in vogue and style? Was it because they were doing the non-binary thing back then? No, it's just styles change. It just happens to coincide that with this. But in fact, what you're doing is you're actually not even allowing our men to be
the powdered makeup was beautification. Men were more feminine.
But what you're doing is you're not even letting men be masculine because you're so afraid of this little makeup thing that like they can be masculine while wearing the makeup, and you can actually bring them away from this. If this
makeup is not masculine. Makeup is not a code. No, it's not a coded. It's not a coded masculine thing, right? Okay,
absolutely
it's just not.
Okay, so no problem.
Wait, hold on, real quick. What do you think? What do you think is masculine? What is masculine to you?
Lacto, do you agree that there's neutral makeup such as the ones that like news anchors wear?
I mean, it can be. I guess it could be less it could be more
Uniform.
neutral.
I don't
But
see
I
it as
think
a
but I still see that as more feminine than not wearing makeup at
So
all.
like
Well,
every
it's just to bring
actor,
out the features.
yeah,
So you
every
can see
Yes,
them on camera.
yes. This is wearing makeup
every
is more
actor
feminine.
on screen is
Well, it's
being
really for
more
the
feminine.
cameras.
Yeah, it's for the camera.
models.
Acting in general,
I think
yeah.
show business and this kind of thing is a very feminine
Yeah.
industry, relatively. And
Charles
my question,
Bronson was very feminine.
What
my
about for
question,
public
my
speaking? Like
question
Trump
for
puts
you,
on makeup before going to give a
Gibbs,
speech.
I do
Was
know that he
Biden?
like fucking coats himself in bronzer. It's bizarre.
But
I'm
all the people
not a
that make
fan of
people
that.
do
I'm
it. They
not a
all
fan
go
of
out
that.
for a press conference. They wear
Yeah,
makeup.
I'm not a fan of it.
It's for the
Gibbs,
cameras.
I'm not a fan of it. Gibbs, let me ask you, what in your mind, if makeup is like, especially the kind of makeup that you're wearing right now,
Mhm.
okay? If you think that's potential, like masculine whatsoever, what it like,
Asian makeup.
it's obviously not
What makes it
coded
not
masculine. Well, no, my question is, what is masculinity then at this point? Like, what is masculine coded, if not like the things that like society in large has decided is coded masculine and coded feminine?
Winning is masculine. I'm talking about winning.
Really. So you're okay. So you're telling me that like if a woman wins too much, now she's masculine?
Yeah, I would say it's masculine traits. Aggressiveness,
Yeah.
that's a masculine trait.
They-
Yeah,
she
these are
wins
things
at
that
the
are.
Olympics, right?
Yeah, if you win, yeah, absolutely.
You're masculine.
Hey, look, if you're a woman and you play the lottery and you win, you are
Hold
a
on, would you-
masculine
hold on,
person.
hold on. Let's
Goodness
actually let's examine that on like a not meme level. If you're a woman athlete and you're at a high level like an Olympian, would you not argue that they're more masculine than say the dude that's sitting on his couch fucking arguing on debate night on Monday night? Yeah, absolutely. They're probably much more masculine than any of us here, unless maybe Corey with his super workout, syndrome. But the rest of us, she's probably more masculine, more in shape. I was a D1 athlete. Now I'm just fucking metal and fat. Like I'm sure she's more masculine at this point,
is winning? Why is winning masculine?
Why is winning masculine? Because it's a trait that's defined as masculine through all time. It's a
Who defines it as masculine?
men.
Society.
Oh,
Society.
so wait, the same people that decided that makeup was feminine, they decided that winning was masculine?
Yeah, but that changes. Winning's a
when did it
constant.
We could change it to feminine, couldn't we?
No, winning is a constant. I mean, I guess if you want to
If
be
more
a
women
beta.
started beating more men, then it becomes a feminine
Beta.
trait and not a masculine trait. If
Okay,
the women
let's-
are the one winning,
This topic
then
is
Winning
useless.
is always winning and aggressive
topic
traits
is useless.
have
We
always
gotta
been
move on.
masculine. Makeup changes throughout time.
We gotta move on.
Let's move on.
We gotta move on. You guys are gonna yell at me later on if we don't. So thanks all. For
Who
that
did your
much.
makeup, Gibbs?
Destiny did.
Destiny
she's sitting.
did.
She's in the other room. Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, this has been interesting so far. If you out there, if you've enjoyed this topic, consider supporting the channel. Subs to the channel, give bits or give subs. If you are in YouTube land, consider using a super chat. I've been keeping track of the super chats. We've only had one so far. But help us out. We'll react to it. We'll answer questions if you have them. Also, if you like give bits too. So consider helping us out now. Okay, whatever. Anyway, thanks so much everyone for coming through. Now let's get to the next topic. The city of Philadelphia has reinstated transit fare evasion as a criminal offense after abandoning the system years ago and issuing tickets instead. This comes in tandem with an overall increased police response to lawlessness in public transportation that has lowered people's faith in the transit system's safety. The police claim that most, if not all, perpetrators of more serious crime are also fare evaders. So this step is partly to combat that. This has also sparked a debate on Twitter. Some view the reversion to the old system of criminal offenses as proof that soft-on-crime progressive policies have been a failure. Others say that the spike in crime is due to a litany of societal issues that have nothing to do with the new initiatives that came out of the George Floyd era. What do you think is the source of these types of crime? What should our response be? Have progressive policies to crime completely failed? And if so, do you instead endorse tough on crime policies that could drastically increase jail populations? And I want to give credit to our friend Aiko, who's the one who sent me this article and sent me the Twitter discussion that pointed me to the article. So thank you so much for the help on that. Very helpful. Yeah, this idea that like transit systems are less safe. It's not. This article happened to be about Philadelphia, but you could write about a bunch of other cities, right? We know New York. That's been a thing that people at least feel that the transit system is less safe there. Um, and in Philadelphia, they decided that it's at least the police chief there, the Transit City police chief, decided it's the fare evaders who are the big issue. And if we crack down on that, right, kind of like a broken windows type of thing, you crack down on that, that will weigh people from doing other types of crime that can be quite a bit more serious on the trains. So, and then yeah, again, this is within the larger context of uh, a backlash to progressive policies, like criminal justice policies around the country. And this is just one of the battlefields. So I want to know what your thoughts are. Start with our friend Lactoid.
I mean, look, I think crime should be illegal. But tautologically, I think that if you steal, you should get in trouble. And I think that a lot of places that have kind of moved towards, sort of pseudo legalizing a lot of like low level petty crime, on aggregate, it leads to larger problems down the road. Whether or not this belief that people who skip the fares are going to therefore commit more crime in the transit center, like in the transit system, I guess I'm skeptical of this. I would need to see some like hard data in order to actually come to a strong decision on that. But in terms of I think the much more reasonable position, which is we have too many people skipping the turnstile, so we got to make it so people don't do it. Right, deterrence. We got to deter people from doing that. We have to, because right now you have a lot of places where there is not a sufficient level of deterrence, and you have a lot of crime occurring that it's just not acceptable. So ideally, we wouldn't even have public transit, but assuming that we do, it's Philadelphia. That's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. I think it's perfectly reasonable to alleviate the burden on the overall city and all of the law followers by punishing people and making it a clear punishment that comes with, hey, you're going to break the law, you're going to steal money from your fellow Philadelphians, you're going to get in trouble. So I'm generally in favor of making this a criminal offense.
Much, but I go. Oh, excuse me. Let's go to Gibbs.
Good to have you back to the conservative side, Lactoid. I'm happy that you're back over here. Also he speaks to deterrence. That's a major thing. I bring this up on the border. If the crime like punishment is big enough and they're worried about enough of like consequence, then they're going to deter people from coming. A big thing that we talk about is like sex trafficking on the border. If it was so dangerous to do this, these coyotes wouldn't risk these areas. Sex trafficking would be lower. We could force people through like certain routes. Same thing with here on this issue. If the deterrent is higher, that these people are like, oh, if I skip this and I get pulled up and I'm wanted for a worse crime, and they're going to go down whenever they weren't previously enforcing it, guess what? You're now probably going to go pay at the turnstile. And guess what? Which leads to the second thing, which I'm always a fan of, even though it's public transport, not a fan, is of capitalism, though. At least this public transport could hopefully, in theory, pay for itself, right? Like, I'm not the biggest fan of public transport, but if it's paying for itself and it's paying back the taxpayers, that's something good. And hopefully by, increasing the deterrence factor, it forces more of these criminals who clearly have money they've been saving by jumping over this turnstile for all this time, that they can spend it now and contribute to their society in a meaningful way. And this will also increase business in the area, because now they've decreased one thing of crime, because it's well known, if you commit one crime, you're probably willing to commit more crimes. And so this leads to a more economically beneficial environment around the public transit locations. It's all around good. It's a good policy, and I don't understand why anybody would be against it. Now, the one thing I do want to say as to the opener here that's really important is this is absolutely due to a failed progressive policies. Like that the reason for this having to come back. It's unequivocally related to that. Crime has run rampant with defund the police. police in all these areas. It's turned the California into a third world country. Philadelphia is not far behind. So yeah, I think it's great that they're sitting here trying to stop this crime and doing something about it, because it's clear that it's a failed progressive policy. Now, whether or not this is the right way to do it, the first thing they should do, I don't know. But at least they're trying to do something, because, dear Lord, I wouldn't want to live in Philadelphia, and I sure as hell wouldn't want to live in California. I'm even afraid to go to TwitchCon because they got all these bullshit laws to protect the criminals, so it's terrible. It's terrible. Law-abiding citizens are afraid for their life, businesses are closing, and, dear Lord, thank God Philadelphia is finally trying to do something, because I'm sure those people are suffering.
Okay. Thanks so much. Let's go to Corey.
Well, I do agree with Lactoid that crime should be illegal. I think crime should also be criminal as well. But and also, at the same time, I also think public transit should be free. But setting that aside, okay, and going with what's outlined in the article and what they're doing, okay. Where I also agree with Lactoid that I'm skeptical of the claim that those who are not paying the fare or they're fare evaders, that leads to whatever, either greater crime or they're more likely to go on to more criminal acts, maybe of greater magnitude. I'd like to see some data to back that up. I'm open to that question, but I'm a little bit skeptical at its face. But yeah, this is a little bit, I guess, complicated for me. Where if you break the law, I think you should be punished to a certain extent, and I don't see this as like a huge crime, but there's something to be said of in my province or my city, in Quebec, we are also dealing with a ridership being down, and there's this public perception and issue of there's public transit is now less safe, and that deters riders, and therefore, since ridership is down, then there's less money for public transit, and then our public transit infrastructure is spiraling, whatever, getting worse and worse over time. And so how do you deal with that? Aside from whatever greater public funding in public transit infrastructure, okay, I guess one of the ways to tackle it, maybe as a band-aid solution, is greater citations and enforcement of the rules, so to speak, but alluded to in the article of is it actually useful? Does it generate more revenue for public transit? That seems to be an open question, where even the ones who get the citation, they don't seem to show up to their court date, or they're not likely to pay their fine. And so is it actually a meaningful way to increase money in the public transit infrastructure? That seems to be sort of mixed to me. But I guess as of right now, leaning towards this seems okay-ish, and I'm not basically I'm willing to give this a try, and I'll leave it there for now.
Aiko, once again, the person who kindly brought this to my attention. Really appreciate it. Please, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
You're muted, I believe, or I can't hear.
Absolutely
It
necessary.
has to happen at least once, or it's not an authentic ICAO appearance.
Did he be lying?
But,
He'd be deceiving the rest of us.
Deception, yeah, exactly.
That's
his makeup.
There's a misconception here that what they did when they got rid of the harsh penalties for fare evasion, they went to writing tickets. Writing tickets is what has not worked, apparently, according to this article. And so I don't think this is an attempt to raise money for the system. The tickets would be a way to raise money. This is more of arresting people who do it. You're not making money by arresting them. In fact, it's just the opposite, right? Because spending the night in the pokey or whatever it is that they're going to do is an alternative to paying a fine. So I don't think the attempt is to raise money, although I could be wrong. I think the attempt is to prevent the increase in crime that people perceive is happening in the system because of all these fare evaders. Maybe it's because a lot of criminal activity is happening in there. People who do this activity need to get inside in order to do that, and they're not going to want to pay money every time they need to get in and out to get something accomplished. I don't know, but it does seem that the way to answer this is to generate more data. So, so they moved to the ticket system and then crime went up. Okay, maybe that's a coincidence because of all these other factors that were mentioned in the article that could be causes for this. So now that they're going to go the other way, let's collect the data. crime better go down now, because if it doesn't, then they did all of this under the with the wrong set of assumptions. So I think I'm okay with testing it out to see if it really is that methodology that like changed the crime statistics, or if it was something else.
Much. Let's go to our friend Ali.
Yeah, so my only concern with this really is that I don't think it's going to change much of the crime. I think if someone wants to go commit crime, the $1.50 might not be the biggest deterrent to getting on the train. Like in places like New York and Chicago, it's like $3 for a Metro card, like and you can use that forever, and it's like you can pay anywhere from like $2 to just you can get a 1-day pass, and it's like $2.50, $3.50. So I don't know if this is that much of a deterrent. I think having the police in like the stations in general would deter like crime. That's probably what's going to happen. I don't know if like criminalize, like arresting and jailing people that are jumping $2.50 turnstiles is like the best solution, but I get the point where it's like you're trying to deter the people. But I think the better deterrent would just to be have more cops at the stations, because regardless, if you don't have enough cops at the stations, you're not even going to be able to catch all the people that are jumping the turnstiles, and then you're not really preventing anything at all. Oh, and also, even if you do, like these cities are so congested that if you just move the crime from the subway to like the alleys above the subways.
Let's go to Toasty.
Okay. So I'm in Philadelphia. I've lived here for years. I grew up in a town that borders the city, and so I'm very familiar with Philadelphia. I'm also somebody who has only had a car for like a couple years of my life, so I've mostly used public transportation. And I am one of the people who definitely like rarely ever paid, and there are specific reasons for that. One being just the Philly transportation system is so horrible. They rarely show up on time. The trains are like terrible, like cleanliness wise. There is a lot of crime, and I just refused to pay for like trains when I was going to be late all the time anyways. We get our funding from Harrisburg, and our trains are in Philadelphia, so the people in Harrisburg don't care about sending money to our transportation system when they're not the ones using them. The it's also a misconception to say that this was like progressive uh policies. The reason that we stopped ticketing people, we actually SEPTA made it a rule where that if somebody didn't pay their fare, the bus drivers and stuff weren't allowed to make them pay because it was dangerous. People would get spit on, they would get punched, bus drivers were getting hurt. So they said like, okay, if somebody doesn't pay their fare, just leave it. All they need is more police presence. Whenever there is a police presence at the turnstiles, nobody's getting through. Also on the trains, we had a couple years ago, a woman was raped on a train and videotaped, and it was put out there like on TikTok or something, and it was over like 20 minutes. It was like basically the entire length of the train that this rape took place, and she survived and everything. But yeah, we don't get a lot of funding. The trains need to be cleaner. Yeah, just more police presence. And I also think if we see crime going down, I don't think it would have to do with this the paying for turnstile, criminalizing that. A big thing that's happening in the city is there's a lot of our new mayor is making a lot of changes to Kensington, like huge changes, which is like the main part of crime, like where most of the crime comes from in our city. So
Is
that
Kensington
would
an area?
probably
Yeah.
yeah, Kensington is basically like Skid Row. Is that what is in it's an open air drug market. So you can people are shooting up in their necks in front of police officers, selling drugs. It's really bad.
Thank you for that.
So
let's go to our friend Dream.
Well, I just so happen to live in the top 2 cities in the nation for best public transit, San Francisco. And just growing up in San Francisco, we used to have the bus drivers or the Muni people, which Muni is what we call the public transit in San Francisco. So Muni, and then there's also BART, which is more than San Francisco. It's the Bay Area Rapid Transit, which encompasses Oakland and other nearby cities. So Muni and BART is what we use. And in Muni, growing up used to like walk on the bus, and then you would have to present or pay for the fare right then, or the bus driver wouldn't allow you on unless you're like under 6 or under 8 or something like that, right? Now I think the policy is just you can just hop on and the bus drivers won't say anything. So like I just growing up, just seeing that shift is very different. And I think the reason they shifted is because they moved from like the bus drivers being the barrier to now they had a field, a task force of like fare evasion task force, where at random times you would have like at concentrated areas where it's suspected the most fare evasion happens. You'd have the fare evasion task force hop on a bus and check people's fares, and people that can't present it, they would be asked to leave, and then they would have to present their ID or information in order to be cited. And I've gotten caught like maybe twice throughout my whole life. The point I'm making is that it turns out that the fare evasion task force happens to be way more expensive to uphold than they're getting money back for the returns. So it's like it's actually more cost effective, at least in San Francisco, to allow fare evasion than to try to enforce the people to pay their fares. So because enforcing the law is going to also cost money. So like the resources that you're like being put into, be like, hey, make sure these people put it in, is actually, so if your goal is to try to save money and have more money in general for the city, trying to enforce it, at least in our case, is actually the wrong way, or the way that they use to enforce it is the wrong way. If you're also trying to keep the bus drivers safe, this means that we either try to find a different way of enforcement, or a different way for paying. And I personally think that public transportation should be free, because there's a lot of poor people that depend on public transit to like make their living, and it costs a lot of money when you have to pay $2 one way and multiple trips during the day. So you could pay up to like maybe $6 a day, and times that by 30. That's like almost $200 a day, a month. And if you're a poor person, that's a lot out of your pocket just to spend to go to and from places. There needs to be some form of I think cities can work on trying to make like a cost effective, or like trying to reallocate sources. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, me personally, from a principle standpoint, that I think public transportation should be a free commodity to its citizens.
No, you're absolutely right. If we can send $30 billion to Israel, we can spend money from the federal government to subsidize all public transportation systems and make them free. And that would increase the economic activity. People can get back and forth across their city with no cost. That would have benefits like all up and down, right? Or we could just spend it more on weapons, one or the other. But anyway, open to.
I just want to, revise my.
Or we could do
opening.
neither. Sorry, go ahead.
That's not an option. Corey, then Gibbs.
Well, yeah, just briefly, just to revise my opening statement, based off of what iCal, corrected me on in terms of I understand the intention is not to directly increase, whatever revenue for public transit. But I'm sort of just speculating, but maybe, I don't know if Philadelphia is like dealing with the same issue that, let's say, Quebec is, in terms of like, there's this public perception now that public transit is less safe. And they're trying to crack down on, whatever crime in the public transit system, because they're saying that ridership is down because there's this perception of increased crime in public transit, and they obviously rely on ridership to make money. And so I was thinking more like in that vein of like, this might be an indirect way to increase money in order to crack down on crime, if in fact the ridership is down. But I overall agree with your overarching point of like, I want to see the data, as in like, if the intention is to decrease crime, then that needs to be backed up by data. Otherwise, it's a non-starter.
Well, to Corey's point, I just want to have a conversation really quickly with you, Corey. It's like, it depends how you're gonna crack down, right? Like if you're gonna have the task force situation come on, like that's going to cost more than it's worth, right? Potentially. And so like
Yeah,
it
potentially.
really just depends on your method of cracking down on these criminals. Like are you going to do like a camera situation, or is like, are you going to only have like everybody's going to require like a badge or like a
We
technical,
microchip every rider and every person.
yeah, like something like to me, it's less about whether or not it's okay to do it. It's more about how the fuck are you going to do it? Like,
Yeah,
that's
that's
what I
fair. Where obviously, if you have to increase police presence by like tenfold, that's probably not financially feasible.
Yeah.
We'll go to Gibbs, and then was it Ali? Yeah, sure.
You're muted.
Muted.
You're
Sorry
muted,
about that.
brother.
Yeah, sorry for that.
The makeup
yeah,
is getting to your head.
No,
It
they
got,
were.
caked, it
she
got
was-
caked in the mic. Fucking
Hold on, they
audio
were.
input.
She was so nice to bring me a michelada out of nowhere. I was like, oh, buddy. I got excited, so I was talking for a second. Yes. So I was gonna respond to some of the other things, but Dream, you said something so egregious that I have to just
I'm
focus
all
on that.
ears.
Yeah, I know you. I'm excited. The idea of San Francisco being a good example of how to run things economically by any metric is goddamn
don't think he said that.
hilarious.
I
I
don't
don't think he said
Hold on,
that.
I'm going to tell you exactly what he said. It's literally the epicenter of a failed state in California. I mean, people are fleeing San Fran and Cali. And he wants to argue about it not paying for it. He's basically saying, "Oh, well, we found it's more cost effective not to enforce the tolls. It's because of yada yada. Our reasons. Listen, I don't trust any research that comes out of California about the economics of a service paying for itself. Whenever we've seen all the progressive policies lead to just like one of the highest economic downturns in maybe history. It's literally the Great Depression 2.0. Like California is quickly turning into Somalia because of the crime, because of the money, like the fleeing of the people. Like it's turning literally refugees could be argued are coming out of California, like to other states. Like
Would you let them in? Would you let them in?
Honestly, I would take the ones that would benefit Texas
fund
the
the
most.
nation. San
Yeah,
California,
like
we fund the whole
Twitter's
nation.
about to move. We got SpaceX. Texas is taking all the good stuff from California, and we're texting them up. They're like, "Wow, we were lefties, but hey, I like all these tax policies. Hey, business services that pay for themselves. Like the Texas lottery paying for education, oil going to educate. Like these are things that pay for themselves. Versus the California model is we're not gonna get people to pay public transport because reason says it's not gonna be viable. Like the reason it's not viable is because you'll never enforce it, so no one's afraid to do it. Of course, all the shit gets more run down because nobody's paying for anything. There's no money going into it. So, the idea I would take any economic advice at any level from anybody from California is maybe the most one of the hilarious things I've ever heard. When it's literally, this is the same place, San Francisco, where they had an app dedicated to the poop map. DeSantis won one debate, and it was against Gavin Newsom with the poop map. I can't sit here and just talk about how literally shitty San Fran is. It's literally shitty, not just metaphorically shitty. It's you're gonna sit here and just tell me anything economics wise.
Yeah, let me.
Oh, you don't know about the poop
easy.
map? We'll talk about it in a second.
A lot of there's a lot of homeless people in San Francisco, and because there's a lot of homeless people in San Francisco, that means there's going to be a lot of people pooping on the streets. So I've actually never seen or heard or used the poop map personally because I just see it. I mean, I'm a native San Francisco.
You just see the poop. You don't need to look at the map.
You just deal with
He lives. He was bred with the poop.
I live it.
We merely adopted the poop. He was born in it.
Molded by it.
He didn't see no shit
You
until he was a man.
You merely visited the poop. I was born. Anyways,
He detects it the old-fashioned way. With
You
his
look at the
nose.
map. He lives the life.
Yeah, I've seen some horrendous stuff. Anyways,
all right, this poop map's in the thing now.
Well, I think there needs to be a lot of context with why such a thing even exists in San Francisco. And as somebody who's in public service, as somebody who's done a lot of communication with the homeless people and does a lot of services that way, a lot of these homeless people are not from here. Like I would say most of the homeless people in San Francisco are not from San Francisco. San Francisco actually tends to be like one of the best cities when it comes to extreme weather, right? Meaning there is no extreme weather in San Francisco. So it's actually like
and yet y'all still fucked it up.
No. What I'm trying to say is that a lot of the problems San Francisco has is due to simply its location and because it's so desirable by homeless populations nationally. People tend to have a very limited amount of money. And so where you choose to be homeless really matters a lot because then how you're going to be homeless in the city you choose is going to be important. Meaning you're gonna probably want to spend. You're gonna have a higher cost of being homeless if you're in a colder or much hotter place. So you'd want to be in the most neutral weathered area as possible, so you don't have to spend too much money on it being too hot or too cold. San Francisco in the Bay Area just happens to be one of the best places in the nation to be homeless for that reason. Also, we have a robust like nonprofit NGO CBO system where there just happens to be a lot of homeless services as well. So combining those two things means that you're gonna have a lot of homeless people just flocking to SF to no fault of SF's thing. It's not a real tangible thing to just kick out every homeless person. That's going to be publicly seen as really horrible, even though we're actually trying to do that in some form right now. We're like trying to kick out homeless encampments, and the mayor's trying to do
Austin proved it was easy to do.
What I'm trying to say is
did it pretty easy. I don't understand the problem. What's the problem?
Let's move to somewhere else.
Wait. But Gibbs,
not good. Not here.
But Gibbs, the problem.
Send them over there. We'll take their good people, and they can have our homeless, and we'll take their fucking business leaders.
But the problem is,
I wonder who won that trade.
But Gibbs, the problem that I'm emphasizing right now is that because San Francisco is so attractive to homeless people, because of where we are located, that no other city is really gonna have its ability to really empathize with, is why we have a unique problem here. That's one. That's why I want to be mayor, because I'm at least trying to be in a position where I can be in those conversations.
Is your campaign run?
I mean, my whole life is a campaign run at that point, right? But what I really want to emphasize is that trying to solve homelessness is such a insane thing to tackle, and you're not. At some point, you're just gonna have to be like, what the fuck are we gonna do?
Homelessness, we send it to Cali.
Exactly. That's also one thing people do is like, oh, you're homeless over here in New Orleans and Miami. We're gonna send you a one-way bus ticket to San Francisco, to Sacramento.
Yeah, but it's because y'all are putting the like all the progressive policies benefit criminals and the people that are sitting here that are like, you know, not productive members of society. Y'all just like purposely made y'all's state Somalia, and I don't understand why y'all want this just like to happen to y'all. Like, we have the same kind of weather y'all do. We have good weather here in Texas all year round. It's never cold.
That's cap.
Hot sucks, but you know, you can walk AC, you can walk in the AC, you can get under a bridge.
AC for a homeless nigga?
Listen, yeah, bro. Like, you just go inside, like, bro. 7-Eleven, bro. Like, what do you mean? I see you hanging out all day. Yeah, they just be in there chatting it up.
Their gas stations have casinos in Texas.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, some of them do. Some of them do. And listen,
it's that simple, guys. Just live in 7-Eleven.
No,
some of them.
The bridges in Texas are famously
buy a gym membership.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say next. Planet
and
Fitness.
Then go to the they got a shower.
Buy a
they
gym
got
membership, homeless people.
No, it's $10
a month. It's $10 a month.
Actually, Planet
Fitness. That's like 2 stamps of fentanyl. That's trade that for that.
There's a thing homeless people actually look for. If you watch interviews, they actually look for Planet Fitnesses because they know for $10 a month they can get.
You're right.
There's a kid right now. There's a kid right now on YouTube that moved from Minnesota to Michigan, no money. And like, he's doing the homeless thing. He's 17, and like the first thing he got was like a gym membership so that he could like shower.
I literally watched that Undercover Boss thing.
It was a choice, but like,
and he had to like make his money, see if he could make $1 million in a certain amount of time. The first thing he did was buy a Planet Fitness membership. Why? $10 a month. I got showers.
Yeah,
right. And you can get in good shape too on top of that.
No,
and he just slept.
It's not an apology thing. It's just nowadays, like with technology, like literally homeless people have Cash App, and like they are able to. They do have certain accesses to something that not beneficial. But okay, so
you guys are ridiculous.
For this, I don't necessarily think it's a money grab, right? But I think we know where like the crime in these like congested areas are coming from. It's usually going to be from the homeless population, or it's going to be some type of like mental illness that's going around the streets and that's not being treated. So right now you can say that like you can like right now in Detroit, the fares, like we have public transport, it's free. It's not like the most robust thing on earth, but it's free. And I can say that there's unsavory characters on there. But like if you added a fee to get onto the trains, and then these people couldn't get onto the trains, you're just putting them on the street. So it's not necessarily that you're stopping crime. and it feels weird that they're like looking at a specific location and being like, well, we're gonna stop crime underground here without the idea that like you're just pushing the crime somewhere else. To Gibbs's point, you took the homeless people from downtown, but you just put them back up on the streets. If it's the idea that like fare evaders are the ones that are like committing the crimes, which I don't believe is true. You're not really solving the problem of crime necessarily. Like they might be outside of the entrance to the subway rather than on the subway directly.
What would be Gibbs like? Gibbs,
perfect.
You're for this like fair evasion enforcement. How would you enforce it?
Well, let me tell you how I do. First,
Here we go.
so actually,
drones in every subway.
Well,
She should have looking like this and scare them into compliance.
So I want to come back to this at the end. I'm going to first answer your question, then I want to come back to something at the end. It's about Louisiana's bail laws, right? So we're going to come back to that because it's important with Hurricane Katrina. It's a very comparable thing. So how I would enforce it, first thing we would do is we would hire, a qualified tech guy. Second, we would install drones. That's the key. We put the drones in there. We would have some more
taser drones,
like whatever. Maybe we get some whatever. Third, we can hire security guards, right? Get some security guards, visible security. That's a detergent. Have them walking around. Listen, you're already spending money out the wall.
You know how many
because we're washing crime clean of the area, right? Wash the area clean of crime, right? So listen. So, okay, we got those. These are, they're already spending money out the wazoo. Why don't we actually put some of this money towards things that work? We know walls work. We know security works. Yeah, so we're spending more. Now, what we're going to do is it's going to force these people to go through these things and pay. And that also is giving all the security guards jobs, which are going to spend money in their community. These people now paying. We've turned the business like, oh, y'all be complaining that, the rail stuff doesn't get on time. Well, it's because they're not getting paid enough. So they're hiring low-tier workers. So now they can hire better-tier workers because they're getting the money from the system, from all the people actually having to pay their public transit. This is just economics 101. I don't know why you're confused. As opposed to
on paper, that's amazing.
I want to see
as opposed to what you're
like. Where's your argument to dreams?
But the Louisiana thing, there is a. Oh, this is before I forget. The Louisiana thing. This is key, right? So during Hurricane Katrina,
before you go to Louisiana, please, I want to ask a question to what you just said, please, before you go too much. Let's say that what you do actually works in terms of preventing fare evasion, but but instead of fare evasion, they're just public transportation evasion, right? That's what I imagine.
Perfect. Then we start shutting down public transit that's not used. Smaller government that way.
But that's what I'm saying, right? Like you would be putting so much money in trying to like. And you'll be putting so much money in
transport. You're just long term. You're just like you.
So the argument of
public transport with more steps.
No. What I'm doing is sometimes you have to try something. This is why I'm not a libertarian, right? Like this is kind of a thing. Sometimes you have to like pull the Band-Aid off, right? And in this case, they clearly need either an infusion of cash and hire people so they can start making money. It's like when you open up a business, you're expected to lose money for a year before you can actually start making money. That's not the general. Right. So this is the same kind of concept. If they actually start enforcing this and they have the stuff in there, one is going to create jobs in the area adjacent to this, so it's going to stimulate the economy adjacent. You're going to get the construction. You're going to want to have businesses back because now they have the visual turn. Now, hopefully, this does increase business, and over a year, it starts paying for itself and all these things. Now, if it doesn't, and transport doesn't improve over like a 2, 3, 5 year period, because it's not exactly the same as a private thing, and this is where all California's crazy taxes come in. This is where I would personally, at that point, go, public transportation, they're avoiding public transportation in this area. Let's just get rid of it because clearly they're not using it, so why have it in the area? So then we eliminate it that way. Now, if it does well and it starts paying for itself, then whatever. Sometimes you have to spend a little money in order to make money.
Oh, but what if the loss of the
I didn't even get to finish what I was saying. Please, what I really want, what I was trying to emphasize is that it could be the case that when you're doing these enforcements, that you're going to prevent people from getting on there. But I think like a well-oiled machine of public transportation for any city is like trying to have at least one bus or one train come every 10 minutes. Like Japan has it done so well. Like I wish we could just emulate Japan in every big city that we have. But I think a good measure of a reliable public transit is to have at least each line, whether it be a bus or train, to at least come every 10 minutes, right? That being said, if you try to enforce the fare evaders, but then you're gonna need a security guard in every single one of these buses and trains. That's way too much, and especially if you're going to pay these security guards a livable wage in big cities like San Francisco, that cost is going to be way too much for you to uphold that. And then let's say you do it temporarily, right? And then you see that the huge drop of riders eventually, or no increase, right? Let's say it just maintains no increase of revenue. Then you're at a net loss, and then eventually you're gonna be like, okay, we're gonna have to fire you, security guards, because we have a net loss, and it's not really worth it because you're not really bringing any revenue. And then we just go back to what we did before. I think this is. I'm actually telling you literally what happened in San Francisco.
Listen, but you're also like not factoring in all the other progressive policies that just led to this like socialist hellscape that y'all created for yourselves. Like, yeah, in a vacuum, what I'm saying would work. Obviously, I don't think it would work. I mean, this is where I would start, right? I would start with a whole rehaul of all of California's policies.
Okay,
but like,
but what-
you know, like
what-
I can only
what
if you only asked me for my direct fix right there. And this gives me back to my Louisiana thing. Let me just do the Louisiana thing real quick. So Louisiana had bail laws. I don't know the exact specifics, but after Hurricane Katrina, one of the things was you could basically bail out for any crime. Someone can look up the specifics, but so I'm just paraphrasing. They had a lot of people that when they moved to Texas, because the hurricane, like for temporary, some of these people would get arrested, and Texas does not have this at the time did not have this bailout for whatever crime. Like if you in Louisiana, you can bail out on murder, you can bail out on all sorts of wild, violent crimes, all sorts of. Texas didn't have it. So what happened in Louisiana? All of a sudden, their crime dropped way, way low. So like what happens is clearly when like in this case. Whenever you start actually enforcing the law, and then Louisiana changed it later, what happens is when you see the enforcement of laws, it not only does it delete the deterrence, but whenever you remove bad apples, guess what? The overall like cascade effect is bigger because once we took them out of play here in Texas, there's less crime committed here in Texas after an initial upswing, and there's less crime committed in Louisiana because these people are behind bars and can't bail out for violent crime. Same thing here with this. If you start actually rounding people up and they're starting getting caught on these fare evasions, some of these cities do warrant roundups. Maybe they can't get a guy for murder, but hey, we can get him off the street for a small period of time for owing $6,000 in fucking unpaid fare or like however much. At least sometimes better than no time, and then it leads like just having a clean street for a certain amount of time lets you focus on other issues. So it's definitely something that people should be factoring in.
Yeah, but like Gibbs, I feel like you take everything and you apply it to like, well, Texas does this, so the rest of America should do that, and
Because
that's
we're the
just.
best.
I mean, sure, you're the best for your location, for your like capacity and your ability to handle X amount of things. But like, for example, if your idea is to get rid of public transport for like cities like New York or like Chicago, where it's just not feasible to own a car. It's just not. If everyone in that city owned a car, you would not be able to drive in that city. Therefore, public transport is a necessity for the economy in the global economy, since the stock market's in fucking New York. If you want to talk about capitalism, does
the private economy not fix that though? With taxis and Ubers and Lyfts being like one of the major things in New York,
there aren't enough.
Isn't catching a cab like a major thing in New York City? Like
it's a location.
That's a form of transport.
The market is handling that.
But if you're removing the train system, which is like a majority of people that are in the city that are using public transit are using the trains, right? If you remove the train system, then all of those people now don't have access to getting.
I feel like I saw something recently saying their train usage is all-time low because of crime and people jumping the turntiles. Same things, like they're having problems.
All-time low
That can be the claim.
High.
Maybe they should start enforcing it there too.
People are also working from home now. Like I know in Philadelphia, I know like people who live out of the city, like I have family and stuff, like they'll refuse to take the trains because they watch the news all day. And like, yeah, it can be dangerous. It depends what time you're going on the train. Also like where you're going. Like there's
that's true of being in the city in general.
Yeah. There's
the location, the time, the like how many people.
You wouldn't have to get off there anyways. Like I personally never had a bad experience on the train. On the buses at night, I have seen some crazy shit, but these are like overnight, like midnight buses, and it's bad. But on the like trains, there can be some sketchy characters, like whatever. But typically, it's pretty normal, especially if you're going during the day when there's like workers riding it. But I think a lot of the issue too is like there's not enough fare going into the trains because people are working from home now. Philadelphia is like a dead city. There's like nobody. I think the mayor just ordered like all the city workers have to come back into like into the city again, but like it's also because of COVID and stuff.
I think ultimately like things like public transit, which is a public good and commodity that would help, that just helps in general everything else, right? I really don't think it should be reliant on how many people or like how much money it makes. Like things like that should not, like imagine if we started like like if imagine if we started making people pay for like using the road, and we only would fix potholes depending on how much the road is
We
like
do
being
that with
charged.
taxes.
It's called a toll road. It's called a toll road.
Wait, hold on. There's people
They were very good at that.
in San Francisco and New York. There's been a proposed bill where people if you drive your car in downtown, you're gonna be charged
Into
like
downtown, there's a fee. $20 to get into the city from outside of the borough of Manhattan.
Right, and I'm saying like to me that doesn't make sense. Like to me, like I would prefer a world where money comes from somewhere else other than people try to use that road, or like it would be like me.
I mean, I
Like,
prefer
it-
like a
it would
million
be- it would be
virgins
like-
and like a bounty of like heaven to come down every day and just bless
Wait,
me
wait.
as a
Wait,
god
Giz,
and like
I'll give you-
anoint me
I'll
with
give-
oil. But we live in reality,
you-
Papa.
Hold on. I'll give you an
like-
analogy. I'll give you a good analogy. It would be like me having to pay like $10 just for walking on the sidewalk every time. Like
toll
what I'm
sidewalk.
saying is, I'm not saying we don't pay for it. I'm just saying that we could pay for it through other means other than direct
Wait,
use
from
or
where?
like a
From
barrier.
where?
Like
Well, that's what taxes are.
that's what I'm saying. A tax from somewhere else.
Like
Like
fuck all that.
so
That-
it would-
that's all it
You want to take
Right.
my money so
Yeah,
you can
specifically
walk
yours.
for free.
Specifically yours.
This is
Absolutely.
what
You
made
don't-
me.
no.
On all sidewalks.
not Ali's, not Corey's, not Gibbs or Icos or Ghost or Price, particularly Lactoid TV.
I knew
Whatever
it.
your government name is, I'm gonna find it, and I'm gonna hire a lawyer just to make a law in San Francisco where I can somehow gain your Canadian money and put it.
You have to be the mayor first to do that, to make a law.
No.
in San
I
Francisco.
have the mayor. I can call her.
Oh yeah. Okay, go ahead and call her. Say you're going to get Lactoid TV to pay for the roads.
It'll
Go
be the
ahead.
I will.
lactoid law.
I'll call her tomorrow morning as soon as her
Look,
business hours are 9 to 5.
I
I'll
think
call her
that
tomorrow morning.
tolls are a fine idea. They're actually
I understand.
like,
but
so when it comes to paying for
hold on,
roads, so real quick, when it comes for paying for roads, tolls are fine. A lot of roads are paid for entirely off of gas taxes and
How
wheel
come we don't pay
taxes.
for sidewalks like directly?
We-
So,
we
hold
do.
on,
toll?
so-
We
by
do.
toll. By
Hold on,
tolls.
guys.
We have
before-
toll
hold on,
sidewalks.
Hold on. Before we go down this, like what's a libertarian? It's lactoid, okay? All right. Before we do this,
I'm a
like,
socialist, according to Scott and
let's-
Gibbs sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you are socialist. They're very bad
let's get
libertarian.
back
I don't know.
to
You're all over the place.
Actual topic at hand, right?
I think it's because he's a
um,
soy libertarian.
And it's
You're wearing makeup right now.
And I'm still more manly than you.
knock it off. All right. Establishing dominance right now. Okay. All right. Overall, guys. But yeah. So let's get back to the topic at hand. As to like, all right. So if let's say you aren't in favor of these policies, for anyone who isn't in favor of the softer policies that Philadelphia instituted here, right, and now is in favor of more ticketing. Well, ticketing. Sorry, or the other way around.
No, it's in
Ticketing is,
favor of harsher policies.
harsher policies. Yeah, whatever. The summons, the summary assessment, whatever it's called. You know what it's called, lactoid. But the harsher policies where now it's a criminal offense. If you're in favor of that, is it okay that will increase the number of people who are criminalized and who might end up in jail? Because of this, right? Like now, jail isn't the first remedy for solving this, but as the article told us, many people don't actually show up for the court dates, right? So now we have a court system that's jammed with more cases for people unlikely to even show up, and then a bench warrant is sent out, right? All stemming from a person who's simply dodged a fare. Is that a preferable system to either what Philadelphia was doing previously in terms of like handing out the small fines, right? Or another system that you might be able to think of? What are your thoughts?
It wouldn't be preferable to another system. I could think of a better system. But it could be preferable to the prior system, again, if the rates of fare jumping are high enough that it's causing a major issue, right? According to the article, the summary, real quick, the summary citations for fare evasions judges can hand out fines, community service hours. I think that could be a good way of potentially solving this, where if you hop, you get arrested, you get sent to in front of a judge, and then you get a certain amount of community service hours that you have to do for the community. Seems reasonable.
I just thought of a great
But
solution.
also, but hold on, before you, then there's also a ridiculously low
Clean the transit system. That's the service hours.
There's a ridiculously low number of people who actually show up to these court cases, right? To their court dates.
Well, take them to jail, and like then they go to the.
Then they
so
can
you
work
think
on a
it's
chain gang,
preferable
working for Public Works.
for
I mean, it's
people
all
to
around
Hell
good.
yeah.
And then we can invest in more prisons and make more money
you
through
think it's
that way.
preferable to
Capitalism.
have cops like trying to serve bench warrants for these individuals who remember, fare evasion is the originating crime, originating offense, that they should be spending their time like doing that, hunting down these people who didn't show up to their court date, rather than simply giving them a ticket.
Well, again, it depends on like how bad the problem is. So when you look at it that way, it can sound ridiculous. In the same way, saying like, well, you're really gonna like arrest somebody just for stealing $100 worth of merchandise? It's $100. It's gonna cost more than that to actually put them in cuffs and take them somewhere anyway, which is technically true. But what happens when you stop arresting people for stealing $100? You get a whole bunch more people stealing $100 items. In the same way that if you stop arresting people for dodging fares, you're going to have a whole bunch more people dodging fares, and the aggregate problem becomes worse than the cost of just solving the problem to begin with.
Wouldn't having the police presence negate both of those? If you just have the police presence, you're only paying them for being there. You're not paying them for the externals of searching for other people. You're not like filling up the courts. The police presence there, no one's gonna turn. And if someone's willing to jump a stile in front of a cop, and it's like that is like that would be like a trespassing law.
Police presence does solve this problem. The
At
problem
every
is
single
that
entrance?
the problem is,
Well,
like,
I mean,
the
if the
police
idea is
availability, that's the problem.
at every entrance, because the idea right now is you're going to arrest random people who jump turnstiles, and then I don't even think that those are the people that are going to be committing the crimes necessarily, right? So you're going to already be having random cops at random places to catch random people, which wouldn't really solve the mass problem. But if you just paid the cops to be at each location, which I don't know how many like locations there are, honestly, but I feel like that would be cheaper, and that's a huge deterrent, and that could have people enforcement for pay. I feel like that's a more reasonable idea than arresting people and sending them to jail for, honestly, it is a $2.50 offense. I understand that over time it can equate to thousands of dollars and with the amount of people, but individually.
Transit authority too, so it doesn't necessarily have to be cops. It could be transit authority, and then
It could be a
those
separate sector.
people could, and they're dressed like cops basically, and they could be
Security.
the ones who diminish tickets or whatever.
Or better cameras. Actually, I don't know if the cameras really are doing much in large cities.
Yeah.
Look, Philadelphia is like a Democrat-controlled city, right? Like all these cities, and so the question in my mind is they obviously are switching to this for a reason. It's not like a political reason, because it's a blue area. These are the people that are oh, we gotta kumbaya, feel sorry for.
I think their intentions are good. It's just they're wrong. That's my only
There's
issue.
too
I think
many.
they're.
We don't know if they're wrong
start
yet.
somewhere.
We haven't seen the numbers yet. I think what Aiko said, I agree with, which is that we should be looking at the numbers now of what effect this has, and if it turns out to have a really positive effect in multiple areas, then we're golden. If it has no effect, then we should.
I don't mean their premise is wrong. I'm pretty sure this will prevent criminal activity in the subway. I'm just saying the idea is to prevent criminal activity in the subway, but then I do think they're just pushing it up to the streets then. So it's you didn't really attack the issue of criminal activity near the subways or around the subways or to the citizens. You just pushed it away from underground, which is why I think it's not going to benefit. You're going to deter people from hopping the fare. I just don't think that
he's saying that you're moving the problem rather than
you're just moving it upstairs. That's all you're doing.
I think I understand what you're saying, and that could be true. But the other thing that you do to factor in
likely
is
true.
You are also perhaps dispersing the problem as opposed to concentrating the problem, because a subway system is a relatively concentrated area, and if you got all these criminals congregating into the subway system, you're going to have it's going to be a much more dangerous place than if you don't have this problem and they're more distributed around the city generally. then yeah, I guess there's going to be it's going to be a little more dangerous, but it's not going to be as concentrated a risk.
Well, it's always
in,
going to be
in any given area, right?
It's always going to be hotspots, right? So it's going to be certain train stations that have more problems than other train stations, and then like by that proxy, that's going to be the location in general that just has more problems, right? So like if you're in New York, I don't know if you've been in New York, but like right outside of the train stations, it's like there's not really much difference between underground and being above ground in terms of like there's a bunch of alleyways, there's a bunch of like people can like fuck with you in the street, and like
it's a massive network, yeah.
And to be completely fair, it's like the mentally unstable people that will openly do it in public regardless of being underground. Like I watched a lady get chased by like an old crazy dude in New York. Like I'm just like
but I would rather get chased by a crazy dude on the streets than in a subway. Like especially if I'm in the car, right?
True.
Because now I'm cramped. Everybody's fucking cramped together. And here's this maniac, like, throwing his fists around, and he's 5 people away from me, and I can't get away because I'm stuck in this sardine can of a vehicle, right? But then if I'm on the streets, at least now I've got a clear shot for my concealed carry if he's a threat. I can run away better because I'm not like cramped in with people. Like there's just better advantages that makes it preferable than on the subway.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying even if you don't have the police at like every station or on like specific trains, whatever it may be, you still run into the issue, which is like you have it's a mass congregation of people. Like New York, Philadelphia, these aren't like small cities; they're booming cities. So like let's just what if a homeless person or a mentally deranged person has a Metro card, right? And like you didn't catch the fare evader, he didn't evade the fare, he got in, but you still have the problem of like you're not tackling what the actual issue is.
This won't solve the overall problem. I agree with you. The question is, does it alleviate? Does it? Well, then we got to look at the numbers to see what it does.
Well, we have to wait to see.
Right? Are there things that it could be done better? Well, potentially.
Yeah.
But now you get into the problem of just from like a public policy perspective. You have these homeless people that they're paying the service, right? They are paying for the cards, but like, do we deny them anyway because they're homeless?
Well, that's
now we start running into now we start running to like I think a very clear issue of like now they are just flat out second class citizens.
Because I think it's fair to say that even with the large number, like the average person that's hopping a fare is more likely like Ghosty or me, who's someone just like, fuck it, I don't feel like paying today. Right? That's more likely.
Like I hate that so much.
I understand that you hate it.
There's so many people that like do shit like that, and then like I'll be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And they'll just be like, "Oh yeah, it's normal, bro." Like lying on your resume. So many fucking people do that. It pisses me the fuck off.
Yeah.
It's normalized, right? Well, Corey, good point. If it's normalized, like, everybody lies in their resume. Everybody hops the turnstile. Everybody steals from Walmart.
Right? It's a spectrum of malice, right? No one thinks that like their personal $2.50 evasion that day is obviously when you like expound it to like the masses, sure. But like that's the individual thought.
Well,
like,
$2.50
isn't really
sure. And when the cops show up at your house, now it's a big deal.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I wanted to make a point about something really quick about the the problem that I have. It seems like you're like criminalizing poverty, and so like the people that can't afford this, they would be the one that kind of like they're gonna have to evade the fare anyways, and so they would be the ones that's probably going to be disproportionately caught because they have no other choice depending on
the average Joe. Yeah,
right.
That's also my worry is that you just catch some dude and now he's a criminal, but like he was never going to do a criminal offense.
There's twofold, right? You're gonna have people that can't afford it, that don't do it anyways, and then you're gonna have to save a lot of money, and then you're gonna have people that can't afford it at all. They're not just doing it to save a lot of money, but they like actually need it to be free for them in order to survive. To the extent that they're surviving. So
what is the average like bus ticket or subway ticket? Like
it's like $1.50.
All I'm hearing right now is the
what I'm saying.
I don't necessarily.
There's no way it's actually that expensive.
What I'm saying is
their jobs. They're like instead of doing their jobs and actually keeping the fucking city safe, now they're just criminalizing people.
Yeah, it's reaction. Police being reactionary versus preventative is like always been an issue for me. Like work on preventing the issues versus reacting to the issues that are happening.
I think you make a great point because a lot of city dollars actually goes into the reaction of like a shooting or a killing. That includes like the emergency services, the like millions of dollars actually go into like reacting to somebody dying or getting shot, right? And so it would actually be to their benefit to be in these spaces, you could actually make the argument that if you prevent enough murders, if you prevent enough stabbings, et cetera, it actually might be monetarily beneficial if you put these police officers in every subway, right?
Yeah.
So my thoughts would be, instead of doing the like outright fare evasion enforcement where everybody that fare evades means that they have to pay a fine, let's say like we have an exception for like a poverty line level, or just it's either free for everybody or an exception for poor people.
Yeah.
And then like for the poor people, you can say, hey, I know you're not signed up, but because you are poor, or at least you state you are, here's the application so you could be exempt. And then therefore they would have the clipper card where, or a
It
card
should
where
just be free.
yeah. So that's the 2 point. Thirdly, I do think my earlier point where just having the police there is going to be preventing a lot of money being spent. And I do think the reason there isn't a lot of police there is because there is a police retention issue. A lot of police officers quit after the Black Lives Matter movement situation with George Floyd. There is a lack of numbers of police officers in general in San Francisco right now. We're having a lot of police officers leave, way more than we're receiving, and part of that is because of just it's like getting into a college, a esteemed college. You do have to pass a background check, the written test, physical test, etc. So there is barriers to being a police officer, and I do think it's also a applicant pool problem, meaning there's only like 400 something police officers applying. We should be having thousands, and I think the reason there isn't thousands because there's a public perception of police officers that is negative. And so if we were to improve that public perception of police officers, we would increase the pool, which would then increase the number of actual police officers, which would then increase the number of resources that we'd have to put police officers in certain places, which would then decrease the amount of resources being spent on reacting to violence rather than preventing. So it's a real downstream situation from culture of how we perceive police officers, in my opinion.
Blackoid. In that article, they said they were upgrading the turnstiles in Philadelphia, to be like these like full length body turnstiles. I've never encountered. Well, actually, that's the thing. So I have encountered those, like, because I've traveled the world, and I've encountered those, and they're really good. Let's say like the are very effective at stopping crime. They're also very effective at annoying you, because like if you like, pay your fare and go through it, and you like have luggage, it'll like close on the fucking luggage, which it's done happened to me before, and it really sucks. But in any case, let's say those are highly effective. In that case, would you be more in favor of just using the ticketing system? Because you have very few, if any, people who are actually able to avoid the turnstiles. You can't jump them, right? Then
I have an easy way to avoid them.
So then,
like you're talking to a lifelong fare evader. I know exactly how to avoid them.
Okay, then we'll ask you in a second. But like, whatever system, we got like bank vaults, for each turnstile, or like bank vault doors. If people can't get through, then would you be in favor of like, instead of spending the expense of like getting the court systems involved, for the few that do manage to evade, that will instead just use a ticketing system?
Probably not, actually, because I do like the idea of having those doors there, and I saw those in the article, and I think it's a good idea. But that also demonstrates that anybody who anybody who is able to get around that, they've demonstrated like a higher level of criminal intent, right? This isn't just like a quick hopping of a turnstile. This is like James Bond
deserve
shit.
it.
Yeah, they're like shooting a harpoon gun like at the ceiling and like crawling up.
It's
like
much
easier
easier than that.
I think that person deserves.
No, they don't.
$2.50.
No, they don't deserve it. Like at this point, this person's like a threat to banks, and we got to arrest this guy to get him off the streets. So actually, I would agree that we should install those, yes, and then keep it a crime. In fact, I'm more sympathetic to keeping it a crime if it's harder to jump it, because again, that demonstrates that, like, again, the same reason why I think the criminal penalty for breaking into a bank and stealing the money from like a giant vault. That should be more than like if you walk in and see a bunch of money laying on the ground in a store and you really quickly grab it and run away, right? Yes, technically you've stolen money in both circumstances, but one involved way more like intent. One involved way more planning, way more involvement. It wasn't like an impulse thing anymore. It was a like fucking malicious, calculating, like you made this happen. So no, I think it's much more like much more reasonable for me to look at you as more of a criminal if you hop one of those kind of turnstiles.
Do you think that which do you think would be a bigger deterrent? Do you think the idea right now that we're going to arrest people is a bigger deterrent, or do you think having those big doors would be a bigger deterrent?
I think the doors is a better idea for multiple reasons. But in terms of what would be a bigger deterrent, I mean, it would really depend on how certain the enforcement is on hopping the turnstiles, because certainty of enforcement, I think we talked about this last time, certainty of enforcement is like, yes, punishment matters, and punishment, it does have a deterrent effect, but certainty of punishment is much more effective at a deterring effect, because people have a hard time, literally the reason is because people have a hard time calculating percentages in their head. People have a hard time like actually like working through like numbers and like an estimating time and estimating punishment.
Hard for people.
Yeah, probability is hard for a lot of people, especially criminals, because they have a lower IQ on average.
Do we have an outline of how they're going to like go about this? Like, is the idea going to be that they're putting random cops in random subways and catching people? Like, is there an outline of how they plan on arresting these? Like how they're going to do it?
That doesn't seem super. I mean, from the article at least that was linked, that's not super elaborated on. It really depends on. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to be enforced. What I would like to see is like it's very difficult to actually break the law in the first place, because that's like the best way. And then you also have cameras there, and then like if people do this fucking James Bond shit and are like hopping this thing, then at that point, like the police should be coming after you. Makes sense.
So is the idea then that you're gonna have police in every station in order to try? Because that's what I'm saying. It seems like
I don't
the
know
only
police
way
in
you're
every
really
station.
They're
gonna be standing there. I don't think we can afford police just standing.
I think there is some.
I got it. Sorry, hold on. I gotta head out.
Perfect. I also have to leave here as well.
Indeed. Okay. But you guys can continue your conversation. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion. Consider supporting the channel. If you haven't done so yet. We could really use the help. So thank you, Socrates, for resubbing for 44 months. Consider helping out the channel if you haven't done so yet. YouTube also, be a member or anything else like that. All right, so I'm gonna send you guys out. Thank you, Lactoid, Admiral Gibbs, Corey, Aiko, for coming up with this topic, especially. It's really kind of you. Ali, Ghosty, and our good friend D10 Dream for being here. All right, and I really appreciate your insights as a as a person who thinks they're beautiful and has access to higher caliber women than the rest of us, right? That's very important, right? To see how the other side lives. And also as a person who's involved in city politics.
Absolutely.
The second topic.
You might see the governor of California one day, guys.
And you're forgetting a lifelong fare evader.
A lifelong. Hey,
that's going to be this campaign for mayor.
That's his campaign.
I'm telling you, like
he's going to be like, I'm a lifelong fair mayor. You can trust me.
No dream. I feel bad because like if you are a serious contender, like they're definitely going to be using like All Black Everything, my show, as Apple research, right? Like, definitely
share with me. because that's not until later in my life. I could just say I was young and dumb, and that's not the representative of who I am currently.
And he now has access to those caliber of women. That's the campaign.
This clip too.
Yeah. And I mean, just because
and they'll play back that quote just of you saying that.
No. They should. And I would just, hey guys, if you're listening right now, I'm saying it because it's actually true. I'm young and dumb currently.
Yeah, double down.
It's actually
honest
true.
Politician.
I'm honest. I'll never lie to you.
Okay.
That's why you should vote for me.
And no politician ever.
Yeah.
That's actually what I want to do. I don't want to be a politician if it means I have to lie to the people. Me being a politician is actually just an experiment.
But isn't skipping the turnstile a lie?
isn't
Right, you're
trans-
representing yourself as somebody who's paid as.
No, it's not a lie. No, it's not a lie because if asked, I will tell them.
Yeah.
There is
Well,
no
in
But-
closing, I want to go with in closing. Lactoid.
As long as I'm upfront with it.
Yeah,
right?
I would.
That's been my argument the whole time for the makeup.
Yeah, so since I'm fixing to leave as well, I'm gonna go do another shooting thing. But Lactoid, I just want to say I'm just very disappointed with your very weak beta takes in the first topic. I'm so glad that you came back to us in this one. You know, maybe we can help you get over your clown phobia. You know, maybe we can get over your fear
Need
of
some
makeup